Put on your vests, kids. Your 80s down vest. Is that what he wore?
Wore down. Well, down vest. Self-lacing shoes came later, I guess.
That was the second one, man. Pull on your vest, kids. We're going on an adventure. I don't know why it's Back to the Future today. Is there a
Is there a reason for it? I have no idea.
I'm baffled now suddenly, and now I'm just lost in good memories of Back to the Future. I guess you could fill like 3 hours talking about that. Mm-hmm. Like, remember the time that Marty went back to the future? They're like, yeah, that was all 3 fucking times, idiot. Yeah, like, well, that's my point.
Remember when his girlfriend turned into a different person?
Yeah, that was disturbing. Actually, as a continuity freak, that bugged the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I understand, like, Elizabeth Shue that was her name, right?
Yeah.
Is her name. Is a big get, but, you know, there was one Jennifer, and then she was what?
She was a shoo-in, if you will.
Oh, damn, you're good.
No, that's terrible.
Even at 5 a.m, you're sharp. Hey, Opie and Jimmy are taking the day off, so instead, you're getting some sucking candy.
No, please.
Kevin Andy.
Well, branding is always disturbing to me.
Trying to make it happen. Sucking candy with Kevin Andy. Kevin Smith here.
And Andy McElfresh.
And we're going to fill your morning, man. Give you some good news today. We're not going to do the bad news.
So that's our celebrity combo name?
Candy.
Yeah.
If we start dating. Yeah, I mean, otherwise it'd be Cavandy, and that's just weird. But Candy is nice.
No, that doesn't work. It works better that way.
It calls Dicker, too. Candy is dandy, but Dicker is quicker. Like, where'd the Dicker come from? We're both dicks. We're just dickering around. Hey, so let's get down to brass tacks. There's a very important story that we got to cover today. Every news media has covered it. And it's important because it affects so many of us.
You acted like we stand shoulder to shoulder with the other news media.
We do.
No.
We're getting some Candy press credentials, man. And we're going to go on the campaign trail soon. The Candy campaign trail. Campaign trail with Kevin Andy Candy. No, man. I'm talking about, of course, the most important story you'll read in the news all fucking year, man.
And that is?
Both what we say, Andrew.
Yes.
According to the New York Times. And how we say it matters to dogs.
I love that.
Said Attila Andes, the latest superhero to come out of Gotham City. What a great name. Attila Andes.
It's
a research fellow.
Attila and Dix.
And Dix?
That's
oh my God, you're right. Attila and Dix?
It sounds like a band from, the Mongolian region.
No way, man. Now it sounds like a dude.
It's Attila and Dix.
A Thunder from Down Under, strip show. Now, welcome to the stage, the most hung dude from Sydney, Attila and Dix.
And here's this poor guy.
That's not a cock. That's a cock.
Poor Attila had been celebrated as a great scientist until just now.
No, he's
now
even
making
better.
Fun of his name.
Oh, he's even better because Attila Andix, his name will go down in history, dude, because he is the beginning of the journey to the planet of the dogs. Once we understand that they understand everything we say and stuff, like he gave a shit. This was a scientist who was like, why don't we stick a dog in an MRI machine and say nice things to it? That's the kind of science I can get behind, bitch. You know what I'm saying? That's genius. Didn't you always wonder if dogs understood everything we say, or if indeed it is like when they show on The Simpsons, whenever they talk to Santa's little helper, they're like, blah, 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 food, blah, 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 blah. He just hears one long, blah, unless there's a single word that means something.
Yeah, like his name or food.
Totally. But Attila Andix, my new superhero, a research fellow at Iatovos Lorand University in Budapest.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Andix, who studies language and behavior in dogs and humans, along with Adam, I sound very Midwest, Adam, you say it like I'm from Jersey, Adam Miklosi, and several other colleagues. So it's not just Dr. Andix. He had a crew of friends, but he was the first guy that was like, we got an MRI machine in this bitch? Like, yeah. Let's stick a fucking dog in it and say nice things to it.
Well, no, I mean, a major part of the research was training these dogs. Because have you ever been near or around an MRI machine? It is incredibly noisy and claustrophobic and a little terrifying.
So you didn't even want my answer?
I'm sorry.
I guess that was what they were calling a rhetorical question. I was trying to pull from the animals of my brain if I've ever been around an MRI machine. But if maybe, you know what I'm confusing it with? I've seen movies where people go into MRI machines.
Mm-hmm. But that's always like behind the glass and people whispering to each other. It's so loud.
But you also hear the dot, like someone's hammering inside.
It's you have to wear earplugs in there. My wife had MRI a few years ago, and it is terrifying. And then I think of my dog, who has to be out of the house if the vacuum cleaner is running.
Skittish, to say the least.
How did they train these dogs to do it?
Look, once again, everyone will give you the news. Candy will go inside the news and ask the big questions like, who the fuck taught these dogs not to pay attention to the banging of the MRI?
Uh-huh. And then
that's right. Like, my dog would freak the fuck out, be like, whoo, just jump out of that tube. And she's a wiener dog, so that wiener dog coming out of that tube would look like Fuzzy Pumper Barbershop.
It would look like every dream you've ever had.
All right, so wait a second. Dr. Andix and all his pals, his criminal buddies in Budapest, his buddies who were like, let's do science a favor and start studying fucking man's best friend and woman's best friend. They reported in a paper to be published in this week's issue of the journal Science that different Science! Sorry. No, that was excellent Paul, man. Science. That different parts of dogs' brains is...
That's not how they said it.
I know. The New York Times is much better than that. Respond to the meaning of a word and to how that word is said, much as human brains do. So, let me read further, because that really didn't clear it up for me. Clearly, Andrew read the whole article. I read the headline. I'm like, what? Dogs understand what we're saying? Hide the jewelry! As with people's brains, parts of a dog's left hemisphere react to meaning and parts of the right hemisphere to intonation, the emotional content of a sound.
Emotional content.
What is that? That's
good. Bruce Lee from Enter the Dragon.
Really?
Yeah.
Do it again.
Emotional content.
Well done, man. And perhaps... Here, do it again. As with people's brains, parts of a dog's left hemisphere react to meaning.
Yes.
Meaning, move the cup. And they're like, oh, move.
Fuck you. You move the cup.
Yeah. It's a dog from Jersey. Fuck you. Why do I got to move the cup? You move the fucking cup. They react to meaning and parts of the right hemisphere to intonation, the emotional content of a sound.
Emotional content.
I want that at the end of every sentence. Ready? And perhaps most interesting to dog owners, only a word of praise said in a positive tone really made the reward system of a dog's brain light up.
Emotional content.
See, wouldn't you read the New York Times more often if every sentence ended
was
with
punctuated with
emotional content? It reminds me of a girl when we were doing Jersey Girl auditions. Looking for the Jersey Girl before we found Raquel Castro. Saw a bunch of kids and like actor kids and then non-actor kids. A.V. Kaufman, I believe, was our casting director, and she cast a wide net. She discovered Haley Joel Osment for Sixth Sense, even before that. So, we saw tape of a lot of kids, and there was this one girl, man, I will never forget. We didn't get her for the movie because she was not like ready for a camera. Like she was a real live, like 3 to 4 year old girl. And so instead of doing like lines from the script, Avi just like talked to her, to see if there's anything to get. And this kid, dude, was obsessed with alligators in the sewers, quite like Gertie in E.T. Because like she was talking to Avi's talking to her, and she was like, "So, where do you live?" And she said, "I live here." And then she's like, "And what do you do?" She's like, "I go outside and I look for alligators." She kept doing alligators, and she kept revisiting the term. Must have been her favorite word. And then finally she was like...
Or she just had night terrors based on it. It's like, why is that her?
She's like, why won't anyone listen? I can't sleep because the alligators. Somebody just needed to rock her with a little emotional content. All right, so listen further, my friend. What that means is perhaps most interesting to dog owners, or even... dog adjacents.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to own a dog for this to matter.
It's like, I've heard of dogs. That's interesting.
Yeah. What's it? Oh, one of those? I hear they're all the rage. Only a word of praise said in a positive tone really made the reward system of a dog's brain light up. Like, that means that it wasn't like, here's a piece of cheese, or here's some meat, or here's a turkey leg, here's another dog to fuck. Like, the thing that, which they did all of that in the MRI, the thing that made the dog's brain light up was like, oh my God, you good boy, or good girl.
All those other things will make the dog's brain light up, but this was, they were saying,
on tilt.
You can praise your dog. The way I read that, it could go both ways.
Because the way you read it is probably way smarter than the way I read it.
I'm just saying, you could, if you say, they're saying a word of praise has to be said with a positive spin. I don't think because like with our dog, I'm constantly like, oh, who's a dummy? Who is a dummy? Oh, you are. And she loves that because it's the tone more than the word. But they're now saying that the dogs can learn the words too.
Oh, so later on the dog's like, dummy? Fuck you. All this time he's been calling me a dummy? I'm gonna fucking cut his jugular in the night with my canines. I'll bite the man until he's dead. That's what I'll do. You'll see who the dummy is then.
Once he helps me up onto the bed, I'll kill him.
Man, put me on the bed. Man, put me on the bed so I can kill you. Man. He won't listen, that man.
I wonder if there's anything in my dish.
The dog fucks off and forgets about the revenge. No, dogs remember, dude. They have a long memory, don't they? They're like elephants.
I know.
Right? Elephants never forget, and dogs also never forget, I believe, is the adage.
But with dogs, it's more like an omerta thing.
They're like, oh, you piece of shit. I'll never fucking forget this.
Someday, you may not.
Welcome to Stereotypical Accents with Andy McElfresh, from emotional content to...
I was doing pattern matching. I was trying not to be,
What's pattern matching?
I was just trying to...
Is pattern matching like emotional content?
I wasn't trying to... Yes, I was trying to sound like him. I wasn't trying to parody him.
Perfect. If you look at the article in the New York Times, and you should look at any version of this article all over online, because everybody covered this. It is a series of pictures of dogs, either in MRI machines or about to go into MRI machines, or all sitting around an MRI machine.
And they're all wearing bandanas like they're Frisbee dogs.
Are they really?
Yeah.
This one's...
Here, I'll show you the actual article from Science. I'll turn this around.
Science!
See? They're all wearing...
Oh my God, that's the group shot. And look, they're all looking up like somebody was like, look here. They're like holding cheese or something like that.
And there's just a guy.
Why are they all wearing bandanas? They all named Chachi?
I think it was to identify them as the service dogs in the hospital.
Oh, I love this. My mom has been in the hospital recently. And at one point when I was sitting there hanging out with her, nurse came in and she was like, we have a, what do they call it? Therapy dog or something like that, coming to the floor today. Like, do you want the dog to come into your room? Because I guess some people are like, no. And those people are earmarked as terrorists in my book. Who the fuck doesn't want to pet a dog? Jeez. So, unless you're allergic. People out there are like, I'm allergic. I'd love to pet a dog, but I can't. It doesn't make me a terrorist. I'm like, good point. There are exceptions to that rule.
Yes.
So my mom was like, of course. And they brought a fucking dog into the hospital room. And it was adorable and lovely and so fucking like, I'm just happy to be anywhere. This fucking rocks. Even though it was in a hospital. It's like, buddy, do you know where you are? Can't you just smell and lick the sickness everywhere? gives me the willies to be here. I feel like, you always hear stories about people getting sick by visiting people in the hospital. But the dog's
just like, bed sores. Oh, no bed sores.
Well, can't they use dogs? Didn't we talk about this on our podcast, Education? Like dogs are used to sniff out ass cancer and stuff like that?
Yes, that's right. Your dog can examine your prostate.
So
your dog, a specially trained dog.
Shecky, come here, and I jam her nose up my ass, and the dog's like, why? Why this? No, why now?
Not again.
10 years in, and now this? Not again. So these dogs, dude, they understand everything you say, and they could sniff your ass for cancer and other diseases and stuff.
They don't understand everything you say. They're not as fast learners as humans, but they do learn words.
Really?
Yeah.
So you don't think, so all right, so if you were the type of person that was always out loud saying, I'm going to Netflix and chill tonight, like you overuse that phrase.
Yes.
Do you think?
I think saying that phrase once is overusing it.
Do you think, excellent point, particularly as a verb, do you think dogs would understand, like Netflix and chill is when the man and the lady put their things on each other and rub, the red thing comes out, the lipstick is on display, the man's lipstick. That is when I could bite his jugular. If I could just get on the fucking bed when he's all distracted with the lady, I'll bite his fucking jugular and kill him. And he'll say, "You know what a fucking dummy is? He's a fucking dummy." Oh, Merta, you motherfucker. As soon as you give me my food.
This all leads to how you led off the story, which was, this is all leading to the planet of the dogs.
I mean, it's gotta be,
and at the planet of the dogs, it'd be like, "Get your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty good little boy."
And that one half of the line still works. A trainer, they don't have to pay anybody new to write it. They're like, that pause line works for dogs. We're good. Green light this fucker. 200 million.
Listen, Kevin, I'm a writer. They're not paying us that much anyway. They can stand a little rewrite there.
A trainer spoke words in Hungarian. Common words of what? I guess it works for English too.
Did you say Hungarian?
Yeah, that was one Hungarian. I don't espouse his views, but fuck, that is one Hungarian. Hungarian. From Hungary. Hungary?
Hungary.
Hungary.
Mm-hmm.
Not Hungary.
That's Gary. He's hung.
Hungary. Hungarian. Hungary versus Hungarian. I despise your views, Hungarian, and my dick is bigger. We shall see, Hungary. Now we fight. And it's in an airport, kind of like capitalize on Civil War. Hungary versus Hungarian coming soon. Still would probably do better than Yoga Hosers.
Oh, well.
A trainer spoke words in Hungarian, Andy.
Mm-hmm.
Common words of praise used by dog owners all the time, world over. Like, good boy, super. What?
That's Hungarian? The Hungarian?
Good boy? Oh, and well done. Here, good boy, super, and well done. Who the fuck ever says, well done, to the dog?
If the dog is cooking you a steak, you can actually be...
How do you want that? Well done.
Yeah.
I understood that. Yes. I understand common human phrases all the time.
And don't take that tone with me.
Super. Whoever says super to the dog. You're super. You're so super. Super.
It does feel sort of like Mom Jean's type. Who's my super little doggy?
Oh, my God. I'm going to go home and say that to my dogs. It's actually kind of cute the way you put it. Who's my super little doggy? Bite your fucking jugular. That's who's super. I'll prove superior as the dog who destroys the man by biting a jugular in his sleep until he fucking dies. Once I figure out how to get out of that fucking bed,
I'll eat for weeks.
That's his thought. He's like, once he gets up there and kills you in your sleep, he could live off you for a long time. Like, yes, I'll be trapped on the bed, but I'll have the man to eat for days and days. What's the dog's name?
What? Your dog? Oh, my dog?
Yeah.
Jessie. She was named after Jessie, the yodeling cowgirl in Toy Story 2.
Oh, my God. When he loved me, or she loved me, actually.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, in Toy Story, Jessie the cowgirl was owned by a boy, but that wasn't the case, I guess. Could have been.
No, it's when somebody loves you, everything is beautiful. Why do you bring it? That's like
Andy's
that's
crying.
Like
your eyes glassed up.
But that was
here.
Like
look at that picture of the dog in the MRI right now, and here, listen.
All I can.
When somebody loves you, everything.
It now feels like a
beautiful.
Melissa McLaughlin dog commercial. I'm sad for all dogs.
Give Sarah McLachlan, motherfucker.
What? Oh, sorry,
Melissa McLaughlin. A trainer spoke words in Hungarian, Andy. Common words of praise used by dog owners like good boy, super, and well done. The trainer also tried neutral words like however. Have you ever said that to your dog? Good boy. However, you could be a better boy.
Yes, QED. Good dog.
Dog's like, this motherfucker's using qualifiers on me now? I'll bite his fucking jugular in the fucking night and make sure he does, and then I'll be in charge of the food box.
Suddenly your dog's turned into Simon Barsetti.
Well, I guess that wouldn't be right. You would have to sound like Underdog.
Yeah.
There's no need to fear. Underdog is here. Motherfucker would take drugs to get strong.
Yeah.
Like Captain America. They injected him with drugs, and that's what made him a hero and shit. That's who I'm trying to be my whole life with all the smoking weed. I'm trying to get to be Captain America. Work for him.
You might be working at cross purposes there, Sarah.
That's a good. Underdog would pop a pill that was in his ring, and that's what made him a superhero. So maybe he was just a superhero in his own mind. Maybe that's what that cartoon was all about. He popped a pill, and he's like, I'll save Sweet Valley purebred, but he's just writhing in a pool of his own vomit and urine in a little fucking flop house. That's what made him the underdog. Not like in his mind he could fly. I'm sure they won't let me do a version of that, but that would be an interesting version.
Yeah,
of
the Underdog
dog.
Super Energy Pill is just
it's what helps
his
him
one-way
forget
ticket to nowhere land.
He's a real nowhere dog. We're sitting. I'm done. Oh, I clicked on the picture and it went to a large thing. Trainer also tried neutral words like however and nevertheless. Who the fuck would ever say nevertheless?
I know. You with a dog, you say nonetheless.
Welcome to Grammar with Andy McElfresh. Or I wouldn't even say but to the dog. You're a good boy, but, or I don't even have a boy dog anymore. You're a good girl, but, or I'd like to give you food, but, like, there's no but to a dog relationship unless it's sniffing your butt, looking for butt cancer. Both the praise words, and that's what dogs are doing apparently. Everyone always thought, like, they're trying to see if you're their friend. Bullshit. They're like, this motherfucker's doomed. Doomed, I tell you. Both the praise words and neutral words were offered in positive and neutral tones. So, nevertheless. However. The positive words spoken in a positive tone prompted strong activity in the brain's reward centers. All the other conditions resulted in significantly less action and all at the same level. In other words, thank God, because I was like, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. In other words, good boy said in a neutral tone and however said in a positive or neutral tone all got the same response.
So if you say positively, however, that gives him a good response.
I don't know. I need you to fucking define the New York Times. That's why we're friends. I'm like, Andy, what's the New York Times saying? I can't understand.
I'm trusting you read all the words in that sentence, so yeah.
I did. In other words, good boy said in a neutral tone and however said in a positive or neutral tone all got the same response. What does it all mean? For dog owners, Dr. Andix said the findings mean that the dogs are paying attention to meaning and that you should too. Yeah, pick your words carefully around these dogs. They're fucking listening. That doesn't mean a dog won't wag its tail and look happy when you say, you stinky mess, in a happy voice. They're fucking talking to you, Andy. This is going to save your life, you listen to this article. But the dog is looking at your body language and your eyes and perhaps starting to infer that stinky mess is a word of praise.
Yeah, what I'm saying is your tone is what they're starting off first. I think.
And when you call the dog dummy and the dog's like, I am a dummy, aren't I? I'm a dummy because the man says I'm dumb and I'm happy to be dumb. Until one of his friends are like, hey, dummy. Fucking dummy is a negative.
Yes,
the man is saying you're dumb.
What?
Yeah, dumb is good. No, dumb is bad. This ain't the fucking 80s where bad meant good. Dumb is a bad thing. If he fucking calls you dummy, you're stupid. I'm gonna kill the fucking man. He's humiliated me in front of my other canine friends. In terms of evolution of language, the results suggest that the capacity to process meaning, or process meaning if you're in Canada, and emotion in different parts of the brain and tie them together is not uniquely human.
Okay.
Dogs can do it too.
This is all starting to sound like
anything Root can do, I can do redder. I can do anything redder than Moo.
Row you ran.
This ability has already evolved in non-primates long before humans began to talk. Oh, interesting.
Okay. So it's like, who's a good flatworm?
Would that work?
I don't know.
Brian Hare, an evolutionary anthropologist full of emotional content at Duke University, who was not involved in the study, said he thought the experiment was well done and suggested that specialization of right and left hemispheres in processing, or if in Canada, processing, information began to evolve well before human language.
Wow. And like the scientists.
But, he said, give back one kadam to honor the Hebrew God whose ark this is. No, but, he said, it was still possible that dogs had independently evolved a similar brain organization.
Mm-hmm.
So they had this going on their own before they started coming to hang out with man. They're like, we knew words before we met you, man. But we just like the words you say, like food.
And this Dr. Hare from Duke,
yeah,
just like the other scientists, he has hair on his couch. I get nothing.
Very good. Dr. Hare, who studies both dogs and primates. Oh, what a fucking... Don't you want to be Dr. Hare? Don't you hear that and feel like my whole life has been a fucking sham? What a waste of life I've done. I could have been hanging out with dogs and monkeys my whole life.
My future is... I mean, every day I'm like, is it going to be collies or orangutans today?
Or just joy. He goes into work every day and it's joy. It's something that's happy to see him or something that's like, look at this motherfucker. He's got a diaper on. Like,
or it's like pound for pound, I'm 7 times stronger than you.
Yeah. He's like, I can literally pull you forward with my fist. Because that's what, like, all their upper body strength is in pulling them up and stuff like that. So you don't want to arm wrestle no orangutan.
Yeah, they'll rip your arm straight off.
Oh shit, it'd be like over the top. They were like Stallone, son. Meet me halfway across this guy.
Which guy?
You know, that guy that likes arm wrestling. Dr. Hare, who studies both dogs and primates, the luckiest man alive, and specialized. This guy has fulfilled his childhood dream, dude. All of us when we were kids were like, oh, I'd love to be a dog doctor. And oh, I'd love to have a monkey. He did it. I submit to you, the fucking most successful person you'll ever hear about is Dr. Hare. This
Dare
Dr.
to
Hare
dream.
No kidding. Dr. Hare, who studies both dogs and primates and specializes in cognitive neuroscience and evolution. This fucker's like Buckaroo
That's not
Banzai.
part of the dream. That's not part of the dream.
No, but he's like Buckaroo Banzai.
Yeah.
He does a lot of shit.
Does
Is he in a
play-
rock band?
That's what I'm hoping.
Next sentence? No, they don't list it. Could be in his free time.
But he does have a jet car.
Oh my God. He's like, yeah, I don't do the rock thing, but I'm an amateur poet.
Well,
and he makes it, no, but he makes it cool. He also pointed out that the dogs could leave the experiment at any time. He wanted you to know that. Like, these dogs weren't like, we want out of here. He wrote in an email, they were volunteers as much as possible with animals. Primates, he said, cannot be trained to undergo MRI scans willingly. So you can't train a monkey to sit through that bang, 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 bang. Like, fuck you.
that makes me feel even worse for the guys that make the iPads in China.
Why?
Because they can't leave. They're reading this article. They're like, even the dogs can leave the MRI.
Yeah,
when they
what?
want.
Choice? This is crazy. Yeah, man. So the dogs are like, yeah, we'll do it. This is casual. They're like that movie, The Wildlife. It's casual.
Yeah. It's not like Project X.
Yeah, where they're like, get me out of here. The humans are killing us all. Which is generally the case whenever they use animals, right? And that's the idea behind animal testing. But this sounds like no animal was hurt.
No animal.
Like, I was so happy to get to the end of the article, and they're like, we know what your dog knows what you're saying. Isn't that cute? We know that because we opened your fucking dog and took his brain out and dissected it. And now your dog is dead.
Yes.
Like, no dogs got harmed.
We cut out the part where they understand nonetheless.
Yeah, we had to kill it, and now we understand it. No, man, they just put them in a MRI and watch their brains light up and stuff. And these dogs weren't freaking out. They were, ring of death. What is this? They're like, fuck it, man.
We
Do
know
I get a treat at the end of this? Do you say good boy at the end of it in a positive tone, emotional content? Then yeah, I'll do this shit.
Well, you know, my first job working in television was for TBS. I did a documentary on dogs.
Really?
And I got to meet all these unbelievable dogs.
Wait, what were you doing before that? What was the job right before your first job in television?
Food writer.
How do you fucking go from that to the dog documentary?
Well, who wouldn't go to the dog documentary?
You're absolutely right, but who said this guy writes so good about food, hire him for the dog documentary? Makes sense.
A friend.
What was the food place you used to write for?
Zagat Survey. I was their first employee.
Way to bury the fucking lead, dude. You work for Zagat and you're
Yes.
like, I used to write about food. That's like going like, I used to write information for a book. You're like, what book? The Encyclopedia Britannica. Jesus.
I love when you do impressions of me. Your shoulders go way up and your head dips down. Like,
This is my impression of Andy wanting to have sex with his wife. I want to make love to you. He's always in tears.
that's completely based on conjecture, by the way.
I want to make love to you. Is that high-pitched shit going on?
Not how it happens.
Anyway, what were we just talking about before your sex?
I did a documentary on
Yes,
dogs, and
dogs.
we got to meet these amazing dogs.
Which ones?
We met this dog. This very nice lady had she was diagnosed with MS, but she was not debilitated yet, and so she wasn't able to get a service dog that she could train and have as part of her life until. So she just went to the pound and found a dog the right height. And this thing was the goofiest looking dog. It had like a larger ear than the other sticking up, and
Right.
just like a hilarious looking dog. And it was all she did was train it with praise. She never did treats and everything, and trained this dog to do everything.
Like
So we
what?
go in to meet her. We go into her apartment, and the dog answers the door, opens the door. We come in, meet her. Everybody's talking. Pardon me. Sit down.
Mm.
She's like, what would you like to drink? And the director's like, I'll have a Coke. I was like, I'll have a Diet Coke, and some other people. And the dog goes into the refrigerator and gets the sodas, opens the fridge, brings him out, brings me the wrong soda.
And you're like, dummy,
she's
you're
like,
a dumb dog. And he's like, I know what that means.
She's like, Sam. And he looks at it and goes, takes it, puts it back in the fridge and brings the right soda. And then, we ate, the dog set the table and cleared and
the fuck
put him in the dishwasher.
The fuck, really?
Yeah. And she had trained it that she had an agreement with her bank that if her ATM card was inserted in the ATM, $20 would come out. This
dog has to know how to do all this stuff because one day she may not be able to do it for herself.
Yeah, by the time we met her, she had gotten to the point where she really needed the dog to help her do a lot of stuff.
And this dog could do all this shit?
Did all of it.
Clear a table?
Cleared the table, put the stuff in the dishwasher.
Quick question.
Yes?
When it brings you the can of soda, does it follow it with a napkin so you can wipe the dog spit off it? Because I presume it's the mouth.
There are downsides.
Oh, so you're like, thank you, and it's dripping with fucking goo.
Everything kind of felt a little bit like that strip on a Post-it note in her apartment. It's just got a little sticky.
All Turner and Hooch style. This is not your room. So wait, cleared a table.
Yeah.
Set a table as well?
Yeah, brought the dishes out. We spread the dishes on the table.
Brought a stack of dishes out, or one dish at a time?
A stack. Like, it was crazy.
In its mouth?
Yes. I'm not kidding.
You fucking rocked my world. Like, I wasn't even as mystified when you told me that dogs can sniff ass cancer. I was like, I accept that. That makes sense. But a dog setting a table, I'm like, what kind of Isaac Asimov bullshit science fiction is this? Seriously?
Yeah. And then she had an agreement with the bank that if the dog put her card in the ATM machine, $20 would come out.
Okay.
So we went to the ATM, we shot it, and the dog puts in its mouth.
And doesn't have to type in an amount.
No, just puts it in, and then $20 comes out. So the dog brings both the card and the 20 back to the owner.
This is, is this that's a great thing for the woman and for anybody who needs like a helper. Do you think the dog likes it? They like being useful.
Oh my God, the dog was so attentive the whole time. It was hilarious. It was as if she could just turn to him and be like, what was that? And the dog would be like, he just said that you should,
Really?
Yeah.
That makes me so happy. I want to cry. Like, that's beautiful. Like, that truly is a story of man's best friend.
So then later we went to, this woman owned Salukis, which are the oldest breed and the most expensive breed. And she had one.
What is it? Saluki?
A Saluki, yeah. They're very like a greyhound looking dog.
So thin and.
Yeah. Well, wolfhoundy kind of, but without the big hair. And, she
so like
lived in
a
Malibu.
Dog in Game of Thrones shaved down.
Yes.
Okay.
No, those are like
a
wolves.
Ramsey.
You're talking about the wolves, right?
No, I'm not talking about no fucking dire wolf. I'm not an idiot. Is that what, when you're talking to me, you're like, you're such a dummy? No, all right, maybe not Game of Thrones. Maybe let's say the Tudors or something.
Okay. Yeah.
Motherfuckers have big English dogs.
Yeah.
Big dogs. And
so she, and they lived in Malibu, and she built a doghouse.
Yes.
That was like a 1/3 size replica of her house. The big house on the cliffs in Malibu, like beautiful. And so they build the house. She and her husband build this house.
So what is 1/3? So I'm looking at a door right now. A third of that door? Like this door over there.
Mm-hmm. It had regular sized human doors, but from the outside, it looked like the house was just a miniature version of the house.
Oh my
not
God.
quite like a mailbox size, but not, less than half the size.
Mm-hmm.
So they take the dogs and they're like, here's your new home. And the dogs didn't like it. So the people moved into the doghouse and they let the dogs live in their house.
Are you kidding?
And I'm like, can they clear the table? And they're like, no, they don't do anything. Like, for this kind of money.
That's nuts, dude. I can't get my dogs to do simple things like don't piss there. And these motherfuckers are like, design a rocket. Like, all right.
Now we know that if you had said it nice, they might have done it.
Yeah. I'm like, design a place not to piss. Like, oh, when you put it like that. And I'm like, nonetheless, or however, we just
Far be it from me.
all these, they're like, based on the tone, we're not sure if you're being a dick or if you're just testing us like you're from Hungary. We got a dog recently. A new dog. Yeah, we've been a dog family since I hooked up with Jennifer years back.
Maybe that's why they played the Back to the Future theme, because the dog's name is Marty.
Yeah, but the dog's name that's Marty for short, but her real name is Mad Mardigan.
Yeah.
And that's, Willow.
Mm-hmm.
They found this dog tied up to a post outside a shelter, like not a no-kill shelter. The shelter was like, look, if we take this dog in, we're going to euthanize it. So these nice people in the neighborhood like found it and put it up on a WeHo Daily, which is a Twitter account that covers West Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And my wife reads WeHo Daily all the time, and she saw a picture of this dog, and this dog looks like that dog you used to see at the can at the grocery store or convenience store, real thin. Like, look at the bones on this. Look at this fucking skinny dog. Put a goddamn nickel in this can for the fucking dog.
Yeah.
Or the dog you would see at the Haunted Mansion ride once your doom buggy gets to the cemetery and there's the guy with the lantern and the dog is shaking next to him.
Yeah.
Thin like that, bony and shit. It looked like a skeleton, just some hair thrown on it and a dog head. Because oddly enough, the dog head don't shrink. The body, you could see all the bones, but the head kind of looked like a normal dog head. So, Jennifer was like, we have to get this dog. And she had just been busting my nuts about my birthday had just passed. And for my birthday, I was sitting there going, on the day of my birthday, I was like, maybe I'll go and get a dog. Like maybe I'll go get another yellow lab. Cause I was in the same town where we had bought, Mulder, my favorite dog. I shouldn't say that. The other dog's like, fuck you. We understand the words now. Favorite him? Fuck you.
Who's my second favorite dog?
Yeah, they're like, we understand ranking. He's a great dog though. We had Mulder and Scully. Scully came first, and then that dog was so fucking needy. So we were like, we better get another dog. So they got somebody to hang out with and shit. And so a week later, we got Mulder. And Scully we got from like a pet store in the mall and shit. She was $600 bucks, crammed into a cage. Like she was marked down from 2000 or something like that. Like nobody was taking this dog. And so they kept calling her a puppy. It was in quotes, but she was clearly like, you know, in the almost
smoking a cigarette. Dogs are all the same.
So, we got her, and boy, you never met a fucking dog happier to go home with people. Like, she was all love, Scully. A little bit like, but all love and stuff. And then Mulder, we got from like a breeder's kennel or something like that. Like, you know, expensive shit.
Daisy Hill Puppy Farm?
If only. Puppy Farm, like, you know, this was, here are the papers from both of the dog's parents, and these dogs have been at shows, and like it was crazy and crazy expensive, particularly when it was like, this is what, 98, and I didn't know, you know, I just bought one dog like a week before, $600, and that was like, I never had a dog prior to that, and I'm 29 years old. I'm like, $600 for a dog? Are you shitting me? They give these things away at shelters, man. Right. Like fucking $600, god damn it. When we went and got Mulder, $4,000. Like, oof. Yeah. And he was a puppy and tiny. But like my wife was like, oh, she's playing with him and stuff. She wasn't my wife yet. She was just this girl.
You just compared pound for pound.
Yeah. I got fucked over. So you know, she was in love with it, and I barely knew this woman and stuff. And she had just moved to New Jersey and moved in with me. And we were getting a dog in the first place because she had gotten pregnant. We were like, maybe we should see if we'd be decent parents at all. Let's get a dog. So you know, it was so early in our relationship, going back like 18, 19 years. And, she's like, I love this one. She like, you know, it was all over it. Look at her face. And so I was like, all right, we'll take that one. And the lady's like, $4,000. I'm like, fucking $4,000? Are you nuts? Like, is this dog come with free blowjobs? Yeah. What are you talking about?
Poop gold?
Yeah, oh my Lord. And you know, I couldn't say that. I couldn't say no, because here's this woman that is carrying my child, and yes, we don't really know each other that well and stuff, but we've living together, and we're obviously embarked on some sort of relationship, untraditional as it may be and stuff. And I didn't want to appear like the kind of guy that's like, you love that? Well, because it costs some money, you can't have it. Like, so I was like, okay. And fucking pulled out the credit card, shaky hand. I think that was like the most expensive thing I'd ever bought at that point in my life. Like even more expensive than a car I'd ever bought.
Right.
Up until like her engagement ring. It's a whole different story. That was, all I'm saying is they should have a course in high school to tell dudes like, when you get an engagement ring, this is what it will be like. Expensive. Like I had no fucking idea. I was like, what? I thought I was outraged by the price of the dog, but that dog, dude, worth every penny. Wrote my last 4 good movies. The ones that people like and shit like that. And then he passed away. I started making weird fucking movies. You can see that dog had talent. Oh, he's so fucking smart and good. He was beyond good boy. He was genius. In any event, why did I start talking about that motherfucker? So we had those 2 dogs. Then we got Louie, and that was a chocolate lab. She's 12 years old now. And we got Shecky, and that's the little dachshund, miniature dachshund. And she's 10 years old now. Mulder and Scully have since passed on.
Mm-hmm.
So
Shecky makes a cameo in Yoga Hosers.
that's true, man. There's a reason to go see Yoga Hosers. You can see my dog. And makes a cameo in almost every podcast ever recorded at my house. Because she's like, yeah. And I'm like, Shecky, shut the fuck up. My favorite.
And then then you give Shecky treats
all the time.
Shecky's like, he yelled, but he also rewarded me. So I will bark in every.
She's like, the man is so complex. But I love him anyway. He takes me out and takes me for. I have a constant monologue running for the dog, like most people. If you have dogs,
he's a complicated man, and no one understands him but his dachshund.
I'm sure everybody does it. You know, we all talk to our dogs and stuff, and I'm sure everybody does the same thing. Like, you can give your dog a voice and fucking voice its thoughts, and you know, it's fun if you do it when you're alone all the time. You know, maybe get around humans and stuff. and you know, and my wife like is always baffled by it. She's like, why do you think the dog thinks that? I'm like, just look at her fucking face. I know every thought she has. I could tell and shit. And so, you know, the dogs really dig me because like I'm the treat guy and like not even treats. I'm just like, here's fucking steak. And they're like, Jesus is the way it should always be. The man is great. And then I take them out for the walk and like never seen more excitement. I mean, everybody has a dog seeing excitement. When they go out, it's like the greatest thing that ever happened. Like just going outside for the same fucking
like,
walk.
I thought I loved smelling my own shit. But going out and smelling all of the other dog's stuff is just...
It's the same route, dude, over and over. Like it's about 1.5 miles up that hill and down back to my house. But fucking Shecky, like you would imagine that it was just like at the end, all through this walking at the end of it, there will be money and candy and, you know, fucking asses to sniff. Dogs aren't really interested in money. Yeah. Whatever the dog equivalent of money would be, which is like, I don't know, fucking steak. Like she's so fucking excited and happy and stuff. So nobody else really like walks them and stuff. So I'm kind of the guy, like the source of happiness. When I walk into the room, it's me of all people. To them, I am Mr. Excitement because when I walk into a room, anything can happen. They could get food. We can go for a walk. They could get pet.
You might sit down and talk on a microphone for a few hours.
Totally. And talk to them and do their voices and stuff. So I'm always doing their voices and this is them. Like whenever I could, the man is back. When I come home from like a week away, the man is back. And then I make up fucking songs. My wife is like, you're a fucking idiot. But I'm like, the man is back. The man is back. We're gonna go on walks. Get the man is back. And they look so fucking excited, man. Like nobody in my life is as excited to see me as those fucking dogs. So I'm a big dog guy and I never had them as a kid. And so as an adult, we've been a dog family. She sees this dog on WeHo, and she wants to get it. Meanwhile, on my birthday, that's where we were. I was in Jersey and I saw the same store where I'd bought Scully and Mulder, where I'd bought Mulder, not Scully. She was up at the mall, but I saw the breeder place, puppies, where I bought Mulder. And I was like, oh my God, this is a sign. Like I'm going to go in there and get a new Mulder, man. You know, it's yellow lab. They all look alike and stuff like that. I'm going to get me a little boy dog puppy. And that's what I'm going to do for my 46th birthday because who the fuck could say no to me at this point? My whole life has been about trying to get to a place where nobody could say no because that's what seems like what adults.
So nobody can say no. That's the premise of okay, keep going.
So, exactly. So, you know, I go in and they got these glorious fucking puppies and, you know, a lot of them are earmarked to go somewhere like, so on the windows, it says, I'm going home and stuff like that. And I look through them all and there's no yellow labs. So, you know, I'm like, all right, I'm going to get out of here. It was goofy. I shouldn't buy a dog on the other side of the country. I fucking live in California.
Right.
So, you know, let me go. And then somebody stops me. She's like, can I help you? I was like, oh, no, it's just, I was admiring the puppies. I was like, but I was, you know, I came in looking for a yellow lab. There's no yellow lab. She goes, we have one in the back.
She's like, we soaked you for $4,000. I remember you.
Yeah. She's like, look at the pigeon's back. And she's like, the pigeon's back. The pigeon's back. Let's lift another $4,000. The pigeon's back. So, she goes, we have one in the back. I said, really? And she goes, yeah, here, go into, you know, put you in a little cubicle with a little dog gate on it. And then they bring you the dog to sit there in a room and play with. And so she brings the yellow lab in, boy puppy, and he is fucking rambunctious. Mm-hmm. He is the total opposite of Mulder. Mulder was very kind of quiet, Like, not meek, but just like he wasn't rambunctious, real cool, like just man's best friendy kind of dog. Goddamn gem of a dog, right? This dog was teething and not quite a puppy, a little bit larger than a puppy, more like what Scully was when we got her. Kind of reminded me of Boy Scully. It was just all over the place. Like, might have come from a puppy farm,
Mm-hmm.
So, I took a picture of the dog and texted it to Jen. And, instantly she writes back, no, in caps.
There's that no I was expecting.
Oh, my Lord. There's one no in my life now. And it, of course, usually comes from her. So, she's like, no, you can't. Don't be ridiculous. No more dogs. We have 2 dogs at home. Can't bring home a new dog, especially a new puppy. It's going to upset the other dogs. Like, don't be selfish, Kevin. Stuff like that. So I was like, yeah, you're right. And meanwhile, in an interacting with the dog, I was like, it was kind of bittersweet. I was like, he's adorable, but this is not Mulder. Like, and you can't replace the dog. You replace the breed. But like, I went in that place looking for that, for not just, a dog, but that dog. And that's never going to happen again. So, I was like, he's lovely. I said, but no, it'd be ridiculous for me to get a dog out of fly cross country and stuff. And she goes, oh, well, I'll let you know if we get more. I was like, I don't think you understood what I said.
Yes, I thought it was very clear.
More would not make it better. I have to fly. But in any event, very sweet, interaction stuff. But, I didn't get the dog left and stuff. Meanwhile, we get back to Los Angeles after a few days, and all of a sudden, this dog happens. Mad Mardigan, tied in front of a kill shelter and whatnot. That's why we named her Mad Mardigan, because in Willow, he's tied up at the side of the road. And also the name made my wife laugh. I was like, let's call her Mad Mardigan. She's like, that's so funny. She's never seen the movie.
She talks like the dogs?
Yeah. My wife and the dog, she said that too. She's like, why do I have the same voice as the dogs? So she's like, we got to get this dog. And, I got a fucking big fat heart. So I'm like, yeah, we got to save the dog, without ever once thinking that, like, I was just told we couldn't get a dog so that, we can basically give the other dogs a rest, so that they could enjoy themselves in the twilight of their years. But here we are actually bringing in a new dog into the joint, like a dog that, we know nothing about, no history in the dog or anything like that. And an adult dog. She all grown up and stuff. So at that point, I was like, I understand.
That dog could have just shot a man just for snoring.
Yes.
Like, you don't know how ornery it might be.
Oh, she's adorable. She looks great. But yeah, you don't know her history. She could have been like, I chewed my owner's jugular in the night because he used to call me a fucking dummy. I showed him who the dummy was, and I could get up on the bed.
I was involved in a Ponzi scheme.
And now I just want to live quietly. I want to be loved. I want to be called good dog and pets.
Are we talking dogs?
We are talking dogs. And we're going to be back to talk more about dogs. We got to take a break right now. And when we come back, we got a guest, man. Somebody going to be sitting here talking to us about life in movies and TV. And he's got a brand new TV show on AMC called Geeking Out, man. And you're like, is it you? Or are you going to interview your fucking self?
No,
we're talking
about Geeking Out on AMC on Sunday nights.
Absolutely. We're going to talk to Greg Grunberg. Greg Grunberg's here, man.
What's up, guys?
How are you?
Can't wait.
Stick around, man. Come back for Candy with Kevin Andy. We'll be back in a minute.
And now, more with Kevin Smith on Opie Radio.
Hey, man, you know what's more charming than a dog and an MRI machine when you're saying, good boy, good boy?
Let's see. Do you want a list?
Yes. Give me 3 examples.
A guy in a top hat. I got nothing.
That's your first poll, guy in a top hat? No, man. Cuter than that? Better than that? Our guest, Greg Grunberg.
Yes.
Greg, man.
He's cute. He's a big pile of cute right there.
That's
Greg,
a high bar.
This is not self-serving at all, but you have a brand new show that I find fascinating.
Yeah.
On AMC. It's called Geeking Out.
Geeking Out. Yeah, it's a new show. It's on at, we don't really know when it's on. It kind of moves around.
No, we're in a regular slot. We're going to be
after Fear the Walking Dead and Talking Dead.
Yes.
On Sunday nights. You can
check your local listings.
It is a show that, if I wasn't also on, I would be so mad that I wasn't on, because I'm like, oh my God, this is the show for me. This is the show that, like, I always wished I could have watched when I was a kid. Tell them what it's about.
So Geeking Out is essentially just that. It's 2 guys who are makers, who are in the business, who have a lot of friends in the business and have been in the business for a long time, as well as Tiffany Smith, who's brilliant and charming and lovely. But it's access having access to these people in a long form conversation. It's being able to talk to your friends, sitting down with my best friend, let's say J.J. Abrams or Matt Damon, and having long form conversation and finding out what inspires them. These are people that we can't wait to see their next film or the next TV project, but to see what inspired them when they were kids, why they got into the business, what they're working on now, what they're hoping to work on later, who they want to work with, all that stuff.
And our relationships kind of allow us to do interviews that are, I'm not saying like we get to the heart of the matter more than any journalist ever would. Most interviews are kind of, superficial and quick. They're done in the junkets.
Sound bites.
Real sound biting stuff. Ours, since we know a lot of the people we're talking to, we're able to kind of dive in there and be more familiar. And like the interview with JJ is insanely wonderful and warm because it involves anecdotes about their shared childhood, him and Gregg and stuff. We did it on the steps of the Psycho House on the Universal tour.
That one, I have to say, was, and you saw this, it was like tough for me because he's my best friend. He's a guy that I talk to twice a day.
Right.
And so to sit down and say, so tell me, what inspires you? I know I wanted to find that information out.
Right.
You often don't talk about that stuff with your closest friends, but, and I know the answers to it, but I know how inspiring he can be when he talks about his passion for creativity and for what he does. So having you there, and you do such an amazing job of getting right to it and coming all over the guest's face before us, which is awesome.
No, it is. It's kind of what it is. That's the passion that you bring to the interview and to the subject matter. It helps. We get to pick what we're putting on the show. So you don't have to sit there and pretend like you like something. It's like, oh my God, I actually like this, or I like these people. So when you watch the show, the energy is rather high.
Yeah.
My wife is just like, if I didn't know you better, I'd say you were on coke on the show.
Yeah.
You're so amped. And I'm like, yeah, but that's because like we're talking about shit that's exciting. And I'm also getting to meet people that like I've never met, whose work I've loved my whole life. When we did a piece at Lucasfilm, we went to the Presidio and went to Lucasfilm, and ILM is there.
Mm-hmm.
As George Lucas set up those companies, and they're based in the Bay Area at this place called the Presidio. Used to be a military base. Now it's kind of just
beautiful,
open to the public, right on, like has the best views in San Francisco of the Golden Gate Bridge. It's incredible. So I went up there to do, talk to some cats, like Dave Filoni, who runs the show Rebels, and is a dude who now like want to get him down and get on the podcast. Like, my God, his take on the Star Wars saga, like, I'm a guy that talks about Star Wars a lot and I put it in the movies, was insightful, like incredibly insightful and interesting in a way where I'm like, it stopped being an interview and I was like, preach, motherfucker.
Right.
Like, he found a way into those prequels that made them much more interesting than the prism through which I viewed him. Really good guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I talked to John Knoll, who is a guy who came up with the story for Rogue One, the new Star Wars movie that's coming out. And that's like enough, like right there. Like, holy shit, man. Like,
Absolutely.
in a lifetime, that would be a cool enough accomplishment. However, he's worked on a gazillion movies as a special effects guru, as the guy like who, one of the things he did was like remember Deep Blue Sea when Sam Jackson is giving a speech and the shark just eats him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was one of his. So he's got that whole career. And as if that's not enough, he, with his brother, invented Photoshop.
Yeah, that blew me away.
My mind was bent. I was like, wait,
dude, if I invested in Photoshop, I'd be done. I wouldn't be sitting here with you clowns right now.
I wanted to ask him badly. I'm like, do you have to work anymore? You're just choosing to do it as a hobby?
Can you imagine inventing something that becomes a verb?
Yeah. Yes.
True.
I just photoshopped that.
Yeah.
It's like it's crazy.
Yeah. And we were like, how'd you do it? What? And he explained, he's like, with the tech that we had up there, like, we could do it in film. And I was like, wouldn't it be good if the regular person could do it with a photo? And they just started fucking around with it and literally built Photoshop.
Yeah.
Like nuts, man.
Yeah.
What an accomplishment junkie that guy is.
We tend to have people like that on the show. Jim Lee's like that.
Yes.
He reached his level, the level of success that anybody else would have been absolutely pleased with years ago. Todd McFarlane we're going to have on the show. J.J. Abrams.
Oh, we really haven't talked
Yeah.
about
Oh, yeah.
Jim Lee, man, we went into his office on the recent episode of the show, the one that aired on Sunday, I believe. The Deadpool writers were on the show.
Yeah.
And they were fantastic.
I got to tell you, that to me is a big thing about the show, is that we can feature on the show writers.
Yes.
And these guys are both passionate, but also they are the origin of these ideas, and they're the origin of that movie. And you're watching it going, oh my God, these guys did Deadpool. They did Zombieland.
And in a world where it's like
Joe Schmo,
they did Deadpool, they're funny.
Yeah.
Why not get them as guests? Like, like that movie was hysterical and the writers can't be like dry bones, and they probably have stories to tell. So rather than go to like, hey, let's get like Ryan Reynolds. I'm sure it'd be nice to have Ryan Reynolds, and hopefully one day he will. To us, it was kind of like, let's talk to these cats, the cats that nobody showcases, and they gave us fucking gold content, dude. They told us.
Your wife's point, did you see the energy coming out of those two dudes? Like, they were so excited to talk, and not like they were caged animals. No one's ever asked them before. They've done interviews. These guys are, the number one rated or the highest grossing R-rated comedy in the history of film. Like, they know what they've got, and they know how, but they just lit up, and it was a great, on the chopping block, we call it. There's this chopping block thing we have on the set. And that was a great interview.
Yeah, I mean, you want to find out what Ryan Reynolds is like, you can have him on for 6 minutes and get the same sound bites. Or you talk to the guys that basically lived with him for 7 years making that movie.
And what a great guy he was, right?
They told us that. They said, in the movie business, as you're well aware, and as most people out there might be well aware, the writer isn't quite as prized as the writer is in television. In television, the writer's king. But in movies, the director tends to be king, or the producers. The writer is usually, once they got a script, they'll hand it to 1,000 other writers. Rarely does the writer, unless you're a powerful writer, get to go to set, unless you somebody brings you in. And
usually the director.
And the director in the case of Deadpool, Tim Miller, is first time director, so he wasn't the guy that could be making demands. He was lucky that they gave him a movie. He was just happy to be there because he's like, man, we dreamed about making this movie for a long time. I can't get there and start making demands. Like, they finally let us do this after 10 years.
Right.
So the studio wasn't going to pay for the writers to be on set. Ryan Reynolds himself paid to have the writers there on set.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
A, insanely cool.
Yeah.
B, very Canadian. You know what I'm saying? He's king of Canada, and that's a Canadian thing to do, man. That's real cool.
That was one of my favorite things you said. You're like, that's Canadian, son.
My God, that's so Canadian.
So proud.
And then number 3, smart.
Yeah.
Because like that movie is a fucking joke fest. You want guys there, or girls, whoever. You want the writers who wrote that script that got you there in the first place to be on set. So like in a moment's notice, you'd be like, give me something funny to say.
And not just got you there after 6 years of pounding the pavement. No one would do it. Had to leak footage, to get, crowd support. I mean, they're really smart guys. In the world of sitcoms, I just came off of a failed sitcom, but it was a fun project to do. I did a pilot with Shonda Rhimes at ABC, and it was a sitcom. And
hold on. Don't just fucking roll over that.
I know. It was pretty great.
Let's put on the brakes.
Yeah.
You worked with Shonda Rhimes?
Worked with Shonda Rhimes, and on Felicity, let's go back 15 years.
Okay.
I'm sitting in my trailer, and I have this epiphany where every time you go to a rehearsal dinner or a wedding, toasts are these are the most important moments, the funniest moments. These are the stories that you want to tell. You're not going to get up and tell a bullshit story or, the fat in a relationship that you can just cut out. So this is the most memorable. Why not do a flashback? Why not make that the episode of a sitcom in the way that How I Met Your Mother did? And let's say, Andy, you come on and you're telling the story, you voice over the show, you're the guest star of the show, and there's 300 people at the rehearsal dinner, so it's nonstop toasts. We can redo them. I can say, you could say it, and then you can go and, that's not the way I remember it. We can replay it.
Right.
Can't really use that.
It's like Rashomon with 300 different stories.
Kind of.
Yeah, it's cool.
So anyway, that was something that I came up with on Felicity. Scott Foley never forgot it, and he is, the determined guy that he is, and he's awesome. Really, really good friend of mine. All these years later, now he's the big muck-a-muck on Scandal, and he says they're looking for a comedy. Tell Shonda and Betsy Beers and the amazing people over at ShondaLand. They loved it. Told ABC, and suddenly I'm shooting Star Wars. This is I'm fucking throwing some names down here.
Yeah,
I'm shooting Star Wars in London, and he says, "Oh, by the way, I think we sold our pilot."
Woohoo.
It was amazing.
What a fucking year you had, right?
Yeah.
Like that's one of those moments where you're like, everything is fucking coming up Millhouse. I just found out they're going to do my pilot while I'm literally on the set of Star Wars that I'm in.
I'm sitting in an X-Wing fighter and I have a green card to go work in ShondaLand.
Oh my God, dude. You must have went home
crazy.
and been like, take off those fucking clothes.
Right.
We're gonna fuck. I'm on fire right now. I'm throwing fire.
I called the dealer. I will take the leather. I was like, you know what? This is awesome.
That's not how it works, though. Usually it's like, hey, we need wiper fluid in the car. Like, it doesn't matter how big you get home. And
Right. So came back here and then we shot this pilot. But my point was, with the Deadpool guys, in features, they should have people on set throwing jokes out, having friends. In sitcoms, which I just, I've done some sitcoms, so I know this whole thing, but you call on your friends and you've got just a Deadpool of writers, a pool of writers behind the camera going, throwing jokes out. Try this, try that. It's all about alts. It's all about, let's shoot them. We'll use what we want.
Bring a script and you joke for a day. Bring a writer and you get a few more jokes that day. And
that sounded profound for a second.
And Barton, throw it hard.
Oh, I love that line.
Oh, it's the best.
You want to find a writer? Throw a rock in here. Do me a favor, Fink. Throw it hard.
Yeah, so good.
Barton Fink. All right, so we did
Michael Lerner, right?
Yeah. No, well, the guy who said it was the dude who played Monk. What's Monk's name?
Tony Shalhoub.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Tony Shalhoub was the guy who was like,
I did an episode of Psych.
Did you really?
I've worked with Tony Shalhoub.
Let's do your career real quick. Where do you first start acting? Greg, if you're like, Felicity. Hey, I know this guy's, he keeps talking about Felicity and I know his voice or whatever. The Parkman is the one they know you from the most in TV land? Yeah,
it would be Felicity, Alias, then, Heroes, the pilot of Lost, or these are, sort of seminal moments in my career.
When you say the pilot of Lost, that's double meaning. It was the pilot of Lost and you played the pilot in Lost.
Exactly. So if I didn't crash the plane,
everything, it would have
been called Hover. Circle the airport.
Did they ever flash back to you in the run of the show?
Yeah, there was a scene that we shot, that ended up being a DVD extra. There was an episode where they followed Hurley around the airport and there were all these, they passed a soccer team and all of the numbers on their jerseys meant something. And like he was running through the airport trying to get, and that was that whole Hurley story. Well, that same episode, there was a flashback with Emily DeRaven's character. Mm-hmm. And it was great because we were in the cafe at the airport. And I see her and she's distraught and I'm just putting cream in my coffee and I look over and I'm like, everything all right? And she starts to confess to me what's going on. I said, you know what flight are you on? She's like, Oceanic 815. And I'm like, oh, that's my flight. You got nothing to worry about. It's all good. And then
he just acted that towards me. I got all chills.
I know. You felt like you were lost for a second.
Yeah.
Here comes a polar bear.
But they had to use all of the stuff from Hurley because it all meant something to the story.
Right.
So my stuff got cut. It was a DVD extra. But yeah, we did a flashback for that, which was like the only kind of Captain Seth Norris scene outside of me getting eaten by a smoke monster. Thanks, JJ. In 5 minutes.
I know, but that's legendary, dude. Like the smoke monster.
Great cameo.
Huge part of
Wait, is he talking about you when he says smoke monster?
Yeah, it was just like I put my joint down to eat him up. Oh, I want me a grunny. All right, so Felicity was the first thing?
Felicity, yeah. Yeah.
And so that was, really, I
commercials.
guess you're right. That predates Alias. So what is JJ's was Felicity his first show?
Yeah. His first TV show. He and Matt Reeves, co-created that show together.
And Matt Reeves is the guy who did Paul Bearer.
Yes.
And did.
That I'm in the Paul Bearer.
You're in Paul Bearer as well?
I actually produced Matt Reeves' student film with Brian Burke, his master's thesis, film
and
at
Brian
USC.
Burke is JJ's producer?
Yeah. So Brian Burke ran Bad Robot with JJ forever.
Right.
And produced everything that JJ produced together. They did together. He is so brilliant. It's beyond words. Now he's doing his own projects and still working with JJ and on a bunch of things. But Brian's just amazing. And so I've met him way back in the day, when he was at USC and I was just desperate to kind of get in the business anywhere I can. JJ was at Sarah Lawrence. And then it all kind of, you just get back in LA. JJ and I shared an apartment together. I started driving for Joel Silver, literally driving.
Super producer Joel Silver, Matrix producer Joel Silver,
Mega Mogul,
Lethal Weapon producer Joel Silver.
Exactly.
Screamy Joel Silver.
Screamy, crazy Joel Silver, who is another brilliant guy, but works kind of in the fear works off of fear from people. So he smells it, and then that's how he, gets what he wants, keeping people on their toes.
He's like the archetype of an 80s, 90s super producer.
Yeah, but that's all bullshit.
Like, you'll never work in this town type.
Yeah, that's the impression I got. I remember Scott Mosier, my producer, and friend, guy I do this podcast with, he, had to call Joel Silver on Dogma. We were in Pittsburgh with Dogma, and Chris Rock was supposed to come out and rehearse with us. He had a stop date on the Lethal Weapon movie that he was in. I guess 3, I think, was the first one he was in, or 4, I can't remember. And, they kept him beyond the stop date, like 2 weeks beyond the stop date. And it was now cutting into our time. Couldn't rehearse with him and stuff. Couldn't rehearse with the cast in Pittsburgh. And, his reps were just like, can't help it, dude. Like, he's still on Lethal Weapon. They won't let him go. And so, Scott was like, I gotta call Joel Silver and make a plea, producer to producer, like, he'll understand. He was in the business. Like, we're a low budget movie.
He's a good guy.
Sure, he'll get it.
So let me tell you where he was when that call was made. Just before, he was sitting in the passenger seat, I'm sure. I don't know this for a fact, and I was driving, and he had his feet up, like, in Night Shift, Michael Keaton. Remember, he had his feet up on the dashboard and he was shaking. That was Joel. Like, Joel, anyway, finish your story and then I'll tell you a little bit more about Joel.
Scott calls him up and he goes, hi, I'm Scott Mosier, the producer of Dogma. And that's all Scott got out before he was like, we're not letting him go. He's fucking ours. You're fucked. And he hung up the phone.
Oh my God.
And Scott, like, I was sitting across the desk. I was like, what did he say? He's like, you didn't hear that? And I was like, I just heard blah, 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 blah. And Scott told me, and I was like, you're shitting. And he goes, yeah. And I was like, should we call him back? And he goes, I don't think so. I don't think it's going to get any better than that. And I guess, like, I had to go out to rehearse with Chris Rock solo in Los Angeles. He'd leave the set and then we go rehearse and stuff. So yeah, my only interaction with him was through Scott, and he was rather shouty.
Yeah. So that's the image that everybody has. And I think that's what he wants everyone to have. That's an easy thing to deflect, any kind of conflict. It's like, I don't want to call Joel because that's what I'm going to get. I'm just, being a guy who was by his side 24/7 and almost 24/7. I had a pager back then that tells you,
a beeper. Wow.
A beeper. And I was on call, and my wife, now girlfriend back then, was like, man, this is crazy. You're on call. You're like a doctor. I'm like, yeah, Joel works 24/7. You got to be working 24/7. Right. Anyway, but he's a brilliant guy. You don't get to his, level of success in this business by shouting. That's not how he got there. He got there because he knows how to make movies, knows story, knows how to craft and post. Oh, that's the thing I learned. I learned a couple things from Joel. One is these are just people. It's very intimidating when you're driving, when you meet, at that level. I was just starting out, and, I pick up Stallone. One time I was driving on Mulholland Drive, which, people know famous Mulholland Drive, but it really is precarious at times. Like, there are spots where
very twisty road,
very twisty road up here in California.
Yeah, and I'm driving the, it's one of those Suburbans, and I've got Madonna, Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Cindy Crawford, Joel, Bruce Willis, Demi Moore. I think that's it. All in the car.
Of the 80s are in your car.
Exactly.
And
all
the
80s, right? The future.
There.
Right there.
The
One good bomb, we could have gotten rid of all of the 80s.
But I'm driving on Mulholland thinking I could just go over the edge here. And if I dive out, prior to the horn going off, because in every Hollywood movie, that's what happens. You go off, it's like, but if I dive out before they realize it, I'll get a lot more auditions. Like, It's just going to happen.
You're clearing the top out, and so there's more room from the...
No doubt. They're going to need a new action star now that Hollywood's big 3 are gone.
That's right.
But then he gets the G.I. Jane role. It's like,
I got to shave her head.
It's just in my head, like, I'm going up against Schwarzenegger.
It's better to get the G.I. Jane role than to get the striptease role.
That's true.
Although one pays more, if I remember correctly.
My brother was in striptease.
Really?
Yeah, my brother, Brad Grunberg, was the guy, he's the guy at the strip club. That's he's famous for doing that role because he used to work at the Hollywood Tropicana mud wrestling place for years and years as that guy.
Wow.
Dude, you're like you and your family are the Forrest Gump of pop culture, man. You're always all over everything.
But I learned from Joel back then, meeting these people, Stallone made me a tuna sandwich in his kitchen. Now, granted, I was Joel's driver, but Sylvester Stallone didn't have to make Joel's driver a tuna sandwich. And he was like, you want capers? And it was like that, you want relish.
Number one, that's a brilliant Stallone.
Really good.
Thank you.
Number two, did you want capers?
It doesn't matter. When Stallone is out, you could be allergic to capers. You're going to choke down some capers.
Right.
Yeah. Don't say no. But it was in a conversation. They're all having a conversation in his kitchen, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna make some tuna sandwich. You want to? I was like, "Yeah, I'll have." And there I am.
Did he wash his hands first?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
He did. But my point is,
Did you think at that moment in time, you're like, it will never fucking get better than this for me in my life? I'm in Sylvester Stallone's kitchen and he made me a sandwich.
Yeah,
I've arrived.
Thank God he didn't serve me a glass of eggs.
You want what I have?
hey, drink up. Come on. We're toasted to your health.
You're not going to cook these?
I cook them. What are you talking about?
This guy over here.
Yeah, it's my version of an egg cream. Choke it down there.
Start calling you Paulie.
Yeah, but they are normal people. That's my point, is that getting that close to these legends, even at that time, come on, listening to...
We were talking about like his personality being so shouty and everything.
Yeah.
And you're like, but in real life, he's very smart. I'm like, you can be shouty and smart. I thought you were going to be like, but behind closed doors, he's all sunshine, lollipops.
Kind of. I got that close to him where, because I was picking him up in the morning. Half his meetings he would have in bed or in his house. Executives would come to him. Like, it was that whole power play thing. But at the end of the day, we would have great conversations. I mean, he's a really nice person and talk to anybody. He's a great guy. I'm just saying it's interesting how a guy like that, who's not in front of the camera, is sort of in front of his own camera, because he needs to put on this persona, so that when a producer like that on Dogma calls him and he can just go, "Fuck you," and hang up the phone, you're like, well, that's just Joel.
Yeah.
Not that we're enabling a guy like that, but that's the way don't phone fight it.
He got what he wanted.
Yeah.
Like the moment Scott hung up the phone.
That whole Sun Tzu Art of War thing that all the Hollywood execs were doing back then.
In the 80s.
Yeah.
Seems to be gone.
He was doing, at that time, I remember he was doing Predator 2.
Okay.
Ford Fairlane. Oof. There was a bunch of oofs.
Yeah.
What was the one with Bruce Willis in Europe?
Hudson Hawk.
Hudson Hawk.
Oh, would you like to swing on a star? Carry moonbeams home in a jar. I got an idea. I'm gonna rob places while I sing.
And you are.
Or would you rather be a fish?
A fish is an animal that swims in a brook. He didn't write his name and read a book.
What's the combination to this safe? Remember, it was like they were going throughout the building. But yeah, I learned a lot from him. I really did. And that, more than anything, I was like, these are real people. I can fucking do this. And then
you're like, these are real people. I can fucking fuck them.
I can fuck them. I can bend them over right now.
Hey, tuna guy.
I'm having a meeting in your bed.
Do you want capers? All right. So wait, you drove for Joel.
Yeah.
But that didn't get you a job.
Nothing.
Felicity was
when you're a driver for Joel, you're going to stay a driver for Joel.
Really?
Like, yeah, I mean, I was really good at my job. There's no way of moving up at a company like Silver Pictures unless you move out. I was in the car with Suzanne Todd, Jennifer Todd, who are now massive producers in Hollywood. Barry Josephson, the Michael Levy, guy named Michael Levy, who was brilliant and extremely strange, but a really nice guy. And there were a bunch of like really creative types around him that didn't stay with him. They moved out because he was very happy with where you were. I don't care if you were sweeping the floors, driving him, whatever. So I had no choice. I wrote a script at that time, which is still a very viable project, just like, the Toast. By the way, I never told you the title.
Yeah, that's
Toast.
what the Shonda show was called?
Yeah, Toast.
And you shot the pilot?
Shot the pilot.
And where was it for? ABC, that's where she is?
Yeah, for ABC. And it turned out good. It turned out a little softer than I would have imagined, but Chris, just a great experience, great people, and not soft, cute, I should say.
Right.
Funny, really funny. Or showrunner, this guy, Gregg. It's just, really, really a great experience with all these people.
Isn't it weird, the pilot process, where it's like you get together and you make something and you're like, wow, man, this could be something. And then somewhere someone's like, nah, it's not going to be anything.
But why don't we do something with that stuff?
Why did we bother with all that shit? Well, they used to what was it, Bravo used to run
Brilliant but Canceled?
Yeah, or pilots. They would sometimes run pilot. And Amazon, that's how they do their shows. They'll put up a pilot, like The Tick is up right now, and if enough people vote it up.
If there's an uptick on The Tick?
Yes. Well done. Well put.
I did something. This was crazy. I did on NBC. Jason Bateman and I starred in a show with Kyle Gass and a bunch of great people called The Jake Effect.
Okay.
And we did it. Mark Buckland ran the show and, just some really, really great people. We did 12 episodes, single camera comedy. Mm-hmm. And it was at the time when Jeff Zucker was like, nah, single cameras, it's just, we can't do it because they were very expensive. Single camera is like shooting, for people that don't know, it's like you have the entire crew every day. So it's like shooting a movie as opposed to a sitcom where everybody comes in 2 days out of the week. So it's a lot less expensive. And
the sitcom, unlike the stage sitcoms, there's like multi-camera and
live audience.
Yeah. And that feels like Roseanne or How I Met Your Mother show.
Well, that was a hybrid show, sir.
Explain hybrid show.
They would do
that term, Andy, that term.
I know. Bust a little logic, a little lingo.
It was a hybrid show. It ran on electricity, but there was a gas engine in it. So they would do single camera style flashbacks and things that they would throw to, and then they would only show.
So did Seinfeld, Andy. Why are we using that term? Every show that goes out and has a Thursday, on the street day is a hybrid show. Like we have that same thing where they're like, what are we going to do? Single camera or single or multi? And it was like, well, let's just do, and Scott was like, let's do hybrid. And I'm like, why are we calling it that?
God, I touched a nerve with that hybrid.
Yeah, if this is the hill you want to die on, you're like, fuck hybrid. I can't stand this fucking first world hybrid shit.
I know, it's probably boring most people out there, but that's something.
I had no idea it was a term. So hybrid I'm still unclear.
I mean, that show like How I Met Your Mother was mostly, they would throw to clips. Seinfeld would occasionally be out on the street stealing a braided rye, for example, and running. And those were just, they had to be rolled in because they don't have the room in the sitcom set. Usually there's room for 3
and a swing set.
Yeah. And then there's something that they'll bring up just for that episode. And doing a big street scene, they just would do those as roll-ins.
So How I Met Your Mother, which I didn't watch a lot of, they did a lot of flashbacky stuff.
Yeah, because it was literally that. It was, let me tell you how I met your mother. And they're sitting in a diner or the bar, and then they would throw to a story, be like, oh, I remember that time when the blah, 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 blah. And then suddenly you go to that memory, just like a toast would.
Right.
And it was, that was the episode.
So it wouldn't be a quick hit. It's not like Family Guy humor where it's like they cut away for non sequiturs.
The roll-in was the How I Met Your Mother, the bookend in the front, and then they would go to the live for the studio audience thing, like at the bar downstairs from their apartment or in the apartment. And then from there be like, well, that's just like, and then they'd cut to something else. And it just was like, they put it together that way. Yeah. So the audience still got the live hit, but it was mostly pre-produced.
But the Jonathan Groff is the guy. Do you know John Groff?
I don't know him personally, but
John Groff is the greatest. Anyway, he was the showrunner on the Jason Bateman thing, just totally finishing my thing. So this show that I did called The Jake Effect that ended up on Brilliant but canceled, we did 12 episodes because they didn't want it at that time. NBC was like, this is too expensive to shoot single camera comedies. So I think Zucker,
I was at NBC at that time. And
remember that?
Like, the executives were like, broadcast is dead.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, not yet. You just have your boot on its neck,
help it live.
It was crazy because we were given a 12 episode order. We shot 12 episodes. This is before Netflix, any of that stuff where you would do that and then launch them out. And they canceled the show, never aired them.
And it's called The Jake Effect?
The Jake Effect.
I want to binge on that Jake Effect.
You can find it.
And who was in it? Jason Bateman?
The two of us starred in it, me and Jason.
Are you shitting me?
No.
Is he a good guy?
The best.
Can I tell you my quick Jason Bateman story?
Best.
And then you can tell me a bunch. I was at Baja Fresh. And I went to pop in and get a burrito. And this is going back a few years. About maybe 2 years into the Arrested Development run. And he was sitting in Baja Fresh on Sunset, like right across from, Bristol Farm over there. It's no longer, I think it's the counter.
Yeah.
And he was sitting there eating a burrito. And like I'm a Jason Bateman fan. Like I love Arrested Development, but I go back to Silver Spoons, man. Like he was fucking brilliant on Silver Spoons. And then they gave him his own show at one point.
Yeah.
Which like lasted maybe kind of a season, maybe half a season. But I always thought he was like fucking brilliant. And when he was in, like, dude, I even like Teen Wolf too. And when he was in Arrested Development, I'm like, finally, this fucking dude is gold, man. Somebody figured out how to fucking use him. And ever since then, he's been pretty damn huge. So,
and by the way, single camera comedy.
Yeah.
Arrested Development. We do 12 episodes. No one sees them. And then suddenly, that show was brilliant. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. All they have to do is tell you what the rule is, and you'll know that it'll be the opposite in a year for the rest of your life.
That's true. Did you go up to him and say anything?
I struggled with it because, like I don't mind. I don't care when people come up to me and stuff. But sometimes when they do, they're like, I hate to bother you. A lot of them lead with, I hate to bother you and stuff. And so, I was like, am I that guy? Am I going to be the I hate to bother you guy? And I did. Like, I'm so against character, but I was like, I hate to bother you. I just wanted to tell you I'm a massive fan. Like, I think they're so
Kevin
brilliant in that
Smith goes, I hate to bother you.
But I didn't know if he knew who I was.
Were you dressed like this?
Like in whatever my permutation of the time was in my outfit. It was my standard uniform, but whatever that was. Might have been the basketball shooters then or something like that. I don't know if it was the hockey jerseys, but I didn't say, hey, I'm Kevin Smith, or I also am in the business. I just hit him like a fan, just like, I hate to bother you, but fuck, dude, you're brilliant. Like, I love that show so much.
What'd he say?
So good. He's like, thanks, man. Thanks a lot for saying that. Which was a very neutral kind of like, and I wasn't sitting there going, now you say something nice to me about my work. Not at all. But I didn't know in that moment whether or not he knew, and I don't mean this in a gross who I was, but I didn't know if he knew
he went
that I was
home and
in the
he's
business.
like, honey, another guy that looked like Kevin Smith.
Exactly. I have the worst.
I thought you were just going to go like, another fat guy talk to me. Why are all these chubbies on my dick? What am I? Some sort of
stop eating Baja Fresh. I keep telling you.
It's like, just pick up and leave. And he's like, I like sitting there. And fuck the world. Just because I'm famous now again doesn't mean I'm not going to sit.
Was it at the salsa bar again?
She's like,
Stay away from the salsa.
I was getting another
I had
topic.
the worst version of that exact story.
With who?
I'll tell you. There was this thing called the Hot in Hollywood, Hot 100 or whatever, one of these magazine things, right? And I got invited to it, and my wife said, you got to go. You never go out. Who knows whatever. Just stop by there on the way home. So I'm all alone. I stop by this hotel, and they have this red carpet. I do the red carpet. I'm so exhausted. And there's the celebrity area that they put you in, right? And it's just, there's no one in there but Slash and a girl. He's talking to a woman, and that's it. And they bring me in, and I'm 5-6 feet from him, and I sit down. I'm all alone. I'm sit down. They go, Greg, is there anything we can do for you? Whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm totally good. Thank you. And I'm sitting there, and I don't know what the hell to expect. I don't know what we're going to do now. They put me in quarantine, Dusty, right? And I look over at Slash, and he kind of sees me for a second and goes back to his conversation. And then the woman gets up and walks away. Now, I have a charity, right? I have, my son has epilepsy. I will rope every single person I know into saying the words, and we haven't done it yet, into saying, talk about it. Don't be afraid to talk about it. And it's because people, there's a stigma attached to epilepsy and seizures. People don't want to talk about it. The more you talk about it, the more the people will donate money, and there's no stigma. And come on, I've seen unfortunately thousands of seizures with my son, and he's a perfectly normal, extraordinary individual, and people can live well with epilepsy. So that's the whole.
Tell him what's helping lately.
Pot, man. Yeah. CBD, marijuana. Look into it. If you're having seizures, if you're having trouble, check with your doctor. Absolutely check with your doctor. But
this is like the Charlotte's Web version, though. It's
exactly.
What's the Charlotte's Web version mean?
So there was a girl named they call it Charlotte's Web, but there was a girl who had a very specific type of epilepsy that is, it's called status epilepticus. And I don't know what I think it was Rett syndrome is what it's called, but it's it's nonstop seizures. You're like caught in a seizure. Your brain is just kind of looping and won't allow you to get out of it. Maybe you get out of it for a second, then you're back into seizures. Really terrible. Terrible. Nothing was working for her. And these guys in London.
They started in London. The guys that made the strain are in Colorado.
In Colorado, right. And they saw this story on her or heard about her, and they developed this strain of marijuana, and she
essentially there's almost no THC in it. It's non-psychoactive. It just
so you're not getting high, but you're getting the nutritive value of.
You're getting the medicinal value. The medicinal stuff is the CBD. THC is the stuff that gets you high, essentially. And you have to have both components for it to work, but they try and get the highest CBD level to 1. So it's 5 to 1, 10 to 1, 12 to 1, these pharmaceutical companies are racing to see who can get the highest. The stuff I get is 17-1. This guy is amazing.
Right.
And it just relaxes me. When I smoke it, it relaxes me. Jake, my son, will take drops, and they do it in I don't know what else is in the drops. It's like, they're able to sort of like do a tea version of it, but it's oils. It's like an oil. And he takes a couple drops under his tongue, and it doesn't affect his other medicine in any way. It's
the oil also keeps it in your mouth. It keeps you from washing it away. It makes it absorb more quickly.
Yeah.
And how does it, and what does it do?
It essentially, so what epilepsy is just an overactive firing of your, your brain. So like 2 points in your brain are telling right now, one point is talking to another point, and there's an electronic signal between the two, and it says, talk to Kevin, look at Andy. And it's controlling me. Well, these 2 points, if you can look at, I have 2 fingers right now and they're pointing right at each other. A seizure is this.
I can vouch for that. He's doing that right now.
I'm doing that. So, a seizure is now I'm pointing one finger up and one down. And now the electricity is going here. This electricity is going there. And now the person's shaking because the whole brain is going,
yeah,
whoa,
the signal is telling them to contract their muscles instead of talk to Kevin or do, other things. And so it's a misfiring that causes like a little electrical storm in the brain.
That's all it is. That's all it is. If you go to talkaboutit.org, that's my website. If you go to talkaboutit.org, Dr. Drew lays it out. He says, guys, you can't catch this. It's not contagious. You're not possessed by the devil. All of these crazy stigmas that have been attached to this. And it hasn't been that long since that stuff. 50 years ago, we thought these people it's the devil, and third world countries are still thinking that. And it's a shame because something like marijuana is right in front of us where it will relax your brain and allow you to have these normal, firings.
Those cannabinoid receptors that are basically causing the signal to go off track in one way, they are taken care of by the CBDs, and your brain's able to function normally.
And he's on great medication, and marijuana does not. And I'm not a doctor. Please don't take this word for word. Check with your doctor. But
have you ever played one in a TV show?
Many times.
There you go.
Many times.
I'm not a doctor, but I have played one in films as well as a pilot in Law.
Exactly.
I played doctor.
Have you played doctor?
What was it like?
I know it was a long time ago.
Did you see a boob?
Dr. CBD.
What's it like seeing a boob?
Dr. Pudding. Dr. Chocolate Pudding.
Did you say Dr. Puddin?
Puddin.
I believe that is his name when he goes home to wife. He's like, Dr. Puddin's here. I just want to make love to you.
God. So my website is every celebrity you can imagine, raising questions. Jennifer Garner's on there going, hey, can you be pregnant and still have epilepsy? Is that possible? And then we freeze on her and a doctor answers those questions. It's a great website. Great place to gather knowledge. And everybody should know what to do. Synovian, an amazing company called Synovian, is sponsoring us, and it's great with the Epilepsy Foundation. I'm very proud of it. So I rope celebrities in. So I'm sitting there with Slash, right? And I go, and the woman that he's talking to gets up. I'm assuming to go to the bar, go to the bathroom, whatever. And now it's just the two of us, 2 yutzes, 2 celebrities, 2 Jews sitting there. Not that that matters, but just like whatever. We're sitting there.
Certainly doesn't hurt.
Doesn't hurt, right?
One in a top hat.
Exactly. And I get up and I move 6 feet over to him, and I'm like, Slash, I hate to bother you. It's exactly what you did to Bateman. I said, I hate to bother you, but I'm a huge fan. And he cuts me off immediately and goes, listen, I don't like when people sit down right next to me. And I said, oh, no, listen, what? No, it caught me off guard. And I said, no, you don't understand. I'm here because I'm stumbling, and he cuts me off, and again, he goes, I don't like when people sit right next. Now he's treating me like a 3-year-old. I was like,
fucking kidding?
Dude, a guy that everybody loves, and I've heard nothing but the most incredible things about, like charitable, sweet, like plays concerts, donates his time, maybe the most brilliant guitar player to ever grace us.
He's like, I just got one pet peeve, and you fucking tripped over it.
Exactly. And I was, what I was going to do was say, can you just look into my phone, or can you just, whatever, anything to help my charity. And I said, there's a charity thing, and he starts to say it again. And I'm like, I'm done.
Did you get mad? Were you like, what are you going to do about it, Slash? If that is your real name.
He's like, I'm going to take you down to Paradise City where the grass is green and the girls are pretty.
It was the terrible, when you said that about Bateman, I was like, and that's my the only time when people ask me like, man, you've got Harrison Ford on there and you've got, I've got everybody in the world, everybody I work with, I ask them, and everybody's touched by epilepsy. That's another thing that's crazy, right? 5 million people in this country alone that have it. 1 in 26, your mother. So everybody's got something where they'll be like, I saw a kid in elementary. Everybody's got a connection. That he shot me down so quick, and it was not to get an autograph, not to, will you sign my rack? I mean, not the things that he normally hears. I just couldn't believe it.
You didn't even get a chance to ask him. He was just proximity is my issue.
Did he sign your rack?
He did.
Yeah. Well, if you're not going to do my video, will you at least sign my tits?
And talk about it.
He's like,
.org.
Only if you don't sit next to me.
Yes.
I don't like being sat next to.
Yeah.
Slash sounds like something.
And then went into a guitar solo.
It's my favorite Slash moment is when he did, on the VMAs, he did the Michael Jackson medley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And at the end, after this like huge power performance and the roar, like it was just this giant moment. And the whole thing was broken when Michael Jackson at the very end goes, "Thank you, Slash."
Thank you, Slash.
He was perfectly in key when he said it. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
All right. So wait, Felicity's the first acting gig?
Outside of commercials, I had done a ton of commercials.
What kind of commercials?
Oh, I was first of all, I have a famous commercial that got me on Leno. Speaking of Leno, which was a Rolaids spot. There was a Rolaids commercial where it was me and a guy that played my dad and a guy that played my grandfather. And we were all shirtless, Buffalo Bills fans and cheering. And the reason why people remember it is because in slow motion, seeing the fat on my body ripple when I go, yeah! I mean, when you throw up an arm, right. I was thinner than I am now. And it's just, in slow motion, it's not pretty. And my face was painted and it was crazy. And
that was
tag,
you.
Yeah. The tag at the end.
You remember that commercial?
You remember it? It was on
every best of show we did. That clip was in it.
Yeah.
The 10th anniversary show, that was in it.
Andy used to work on the Jay Leno Tonight Show. Really? So you remember the clip that Greg
Do you remember me coming on the show?
I do. And then we show you in the audience doing the same thing.
Oh my God, Andy, I thought this is awesome. I can't believe we never had this conversation. Here's the thing. You may or may not remember. I knew I'm going to be on the Tonight Show without my shirt. Because Jay's talking about, it was really funny, but Jay's talking about football and I don't know if it was, it was like the playoffs or something. Yeah. And he's like, people don't understand what the refs are doing, all these signals, what the refs are doing. And he starts doing this bit. And then me and my guy who played my dad, the tag of the spot was, Mom doesn't make it out to the games. I don't know why. And we're topless, right? So it's really funny. Anyway, we stand up in the audience and we're like, hey, Jay! And as soon as people saw us, because the commercial had run so much, we didn't have to do anything else. Crowd goes crazy, and he's like, you guys get out of here, get out of here. And we're like, you get out of here. It was really funny. Anyway, I knew I had to be on TV. I knew I had to, have had my shirt off. So I didn't eat that day. I was like, as if that's going to make a difference. Right?
I know, but that's how we think.
Yeah. So I'm sitting up there. You guys sat us all the way at the top. Mm-hmm. And when you get up quickly and you don't have anything in your system, all of the blood, and I have big legs, all of the blood goes leaves your brain to take care of your legs that are thrusting you. So I stand up and I see stars. And I've my whole life, never passed out, never. I was about to pass out. It was that clip, which we could show, we should pull it up, show it on Geeking Out. You see me go, I'm like, yeah!
And start losing.
I almost had a seizure. I swear to God, it's almost like when I see Jake start to go into a seizure. I'm like, I lost it for a second, then I came back. It was so noticeable that all of you guys, producers, ran up with orange juice. They were like, you gotta, here, have some orange juice.
Buddy, you're about to lose it.
Isn't that crazy?
That's wild.
That's my Leno
I can't believe that was you.
And then I was on the show and you showed the clip because I was like, I went from that and now I'm sitting here, Jay, and everybody always loves that moment when you talk about
funny.
Your humble beginnings.
Wild, man. Yeah. All right. So that's like a national spot. You guys were the what's up of the moment. If everyone knew it.
The where's the beef of the moment.
Look at that.
Maybe not that big.
I mean,
you're no Claire Peller, motherfucker.
No.
What is it?
He is the Forrest Gump. I mean, more well-spoken, less chocolate eating, I guess.
Less shrimp involved in his story, but yes.
You haven't seen me without my pants.
I hope to never.
Pointing at his fucking dick going, shrimp is the food of the sea.
Exactly. Shrimp toes, shrimp wrap,
shrimp dick.
Shrimp dick.
All right. So Felicity happens.
Yeah.
Because of JJ?
Oh, for sure. JJ and Matt decide, what do we know most? Well, let's write from the perspective of a female, of a girl going to college in New York. How that happened, I don't know. But
it was a weird choice, but it worked. They got a show.
And they did such a brilliant job. It totally holds up today. I love that show. And so when they got that, I was way over the college age. But I was begging and pleading my friends. I said, I've been struggling. I'm doing commercials. I mean, struggling, but I'm doing commercials. It was Magic Mailbox time. It was like, did I get residuals today? Can we go to the market?
Why? Explain Magic Mailbox.
So Magic Mailbox, as an actor doing commercials, you do a commercial and then the residuals, every time it runs, you get a small stipend. But if it runs 100 times and you make, $3 every time, can somebody help me here?
Yeah, where's the calculator?
You get a check.
I'm on the computer right now.
To do math.
You're getting a check for $300 out of the blue.
More free money.
Free money.
You didn't expect.
And everybody talks about those days are long gone because they make so many commercials now. They don't run things like they used to over the years. So this thing ran for over a year.
Yeah.
They made some good money on it. And I had done 50 beer commercials. I was that guy, but didn't get my big break. So JJ and Matt suddenly got this thing and I was begging and pleading. I've got to be on the show. They're like, you're too old for college. And if you remember, my character, Sean Blumberg, was too old for college. He was the guy who was out of college. They lived with me in my loft, but I was the idea guy. So I was trying to come up with ideas. I lived in my grandfather's loft, which was way too expensive to live in New York. It was a great character. It ended up being a great character. They brought me in as a guest star or co-star and just 2 lines, 3 lines. And that was sort of the beginning. That was Felicity for me was my, my acting school, if you will. Like, I got better and better with every episode. That show was all about subtlety, all about talking heads and really being as real as possible, to the point where Scott Speedman would talk and I'd be like, I can't hear you. What are you saying? Like, it was that, like, he'd be like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? I was thinking. And I'm like, I can't hear you. The show was dark. He's whispering. I get a call from my grandmother when the show aired. Nanny would call me and go, I can't hear a thing. I thought my TV was broken. Yeah. Like,
I'm turning the hearing aid up.
Yeah. I'm so glad I didn't go to college.
Yeah.
Now, was that the loft that Simon Rex finally deflowers?
Yes, Simon Rex from MTV days.
The Simon Rex was one of my VJs at the beach house.
And Simon Rex was the first one to have sex with Felicity?
And he turns up and he gets to have sex with Felicity.
Now,
Simon
how did
Rex
you not do a
totally
background
had
check
sex
on Simon Rex?
We did.
And we knew about his porn days? Like, did you know about that stuff?
It was only a softcore jerk-off video.
Is that the guy?
He's sitting in it was very tastefully shot.
By the way, great guy. Let's just preface that. Great guy.
Great guy. You know what? He is an encyclopedia
Hell of a
jokes.
masturbator.
Yeah.
He will, you can start any joke and he can finish it. He knows thousands upon thousands upon thousands of jokes.
And he was a VJ?
He was.
And then he wound up in Felicity as a guy who fucked Felicity?
Yeah.
He was the first.
He was the first.
Was that the premise of the show? She was a virgin in college?
It was a fraternity ping pong turn. It was like kind of the first days of beer pong kind of thing. It was like she was playing and then you had to take off an article of clothing. And the thing about the WB at that time, now it's called the CW, the WB was consequences. So if you were going to show that, she has to throw up. You can't show that and her get fucked. And then she's like, the next day she's like, yes, I love college.
Oh my God, everything's coming up like a Millhouse.
Millhouse again.
So what? If she was getting drunk, she later had to throw up. So like, there you go, kids. If you're going to play, you're going to pay.
Yep. That was their mandate for any of that stuff.
So when did she throw up? Before or after they had sex?
She throws up after, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So we get a double hit.
Yeah.
Throwing
Sex
up
is bad.
Yeah, punishment for fucking is throwing up and punishment for drinking is throwing up.
Yeah.
This rocks.
She's throwing up, she gets up, there's vomit in the toilet and a baby on the floor. It's oh God.
No. That was fast.
No. Brenda's got a baby. Well, Brenda's barely got a brain. A damn shame. The girl can hardly spell her name.
So when did Felicity end? How many seasons ago? And you were on every season?
Yeah, 4 seasons. And, because of being on Felicity, the way it works as an actor, you have to threaten people with other work. Even somebody like JJ was like, dude, you got to get another job so I can threaten the WB that you're about to leave and people love your character and then we can get you a regular role. So I didn't get the pilot. I wasn't part of the show.
Right.
So season 2, that's what happened is they brought me on as a regular and that was my big thing. And I was doing the Hollow Man at the same time. I got the call. Let's talk about a great week.
The Kevin Bacon Hollow Man movie?
Yeah, Kevin Bacon, Elizabeth Shue, Josh Brolin, Joey Slotnick, Kim Dickens.
Paul Verhoeven directed?
Paul Verhoeven, Joost Vacano shot it.
And our sauerkraut guy did effects on that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Sauerkraut guy.
The guy who did the sauerkraut for Yoga Hosers. Whenever one of the Bratzies, 1 foot tall Canadian Bratzies made of bratwurst, called Bratzies, they get killed, concentrated sauerkraut pops out. So Andy did all our visual effects, but he was like, I'm going to turn to a friend of mine for the sauerkraut because he's done food before. What had he?
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. He's actually done CG sauerkraut before. I was like, that's lucky because there's only one of them in the world. And I went
is
to,
hilarious. But Joel Silver's got him right now.
Yeah.
I'll make a call.
He's my JJ.
Call that guy.
I went to met him in 3rd or 2nd grade.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we've been.
Andy, I don't understand. Like, you are the master of everything.
Yeah.
No, just the things.
You really are. First of all, hilarious.
Yeah.
An amazing showrunner, and now visual effects.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Wait, we did talk about. Yes.
Just because
video production.
They're fun to do.
He
They're
did
fun.
bumpers on the Tonight Show, the thing that's like, we'll be right back, whatever little dioramas
And the
they put up
titles
and shit, and the titles of bits. And so he had experience of that stuff. And when we were going into Yoga Hosers, I was like, do you want to try to, you have to shrink me down, turn me into a Nazi sausage? He was like, I do that in my mind every day. So I could totally do that.
You mean like this?
Yeah.
He's already got a clip of it.
I had a ray gun. I was like, there it goes.
Andy, this isn't fair.
Fan fiction. I've been doing it for years.
If I get up on the bed, I'm going to chew your fucking jugular to death. Me and the dog were down there. So, all right. So Paul Verhoeven, directs that movie.
I'm shooting Felicity and that at the same time. Harrison Ford has his trailer right next to mine at Sony shooting, oh God, there was a movie. Sorry. I can't remember the name of it. No, it was a movie. He was a husband.
Not the Jackal.
I just remember
he did with Brad Pitt.
Dude, that dude really gives you a run for your money with pot.
I've never seen it, but I've heard tell of people. They're like, you know who likes weed? And I said, who? They go, Han Solo. I said, really?
I don't think
my
anymore.
respect for him fucking jumped immensely. Yeah, but that seemed to be the thing back in the day.
Yeah, originally he was like, Chewie, are we home?
No. It's the lines. Okay, try it again, Harrison. Try it again. Chewie. Chewie. No way, man.
Is no
I like
Chewie?
Chewy. A brownie. A chewy brownie. Can I have one of those? Moist and chewy. Yeah, I'd heard that he was a bit of a stoner, which I loved.
Yeah.
I heard back in the day,
Barry
like,
Levinson movie
that he was in. I can look it up online.
Yes.
Keep talking.
Okay. Anyway, his trailer was right next to mine. We shot on the Sony lot, and that was crazy, bouncing back and forth between Felicity and Hollow Man and thinking it doesn't get any better than this. Like, this is crazy. And then after, the Felicity was winding down, Alias was starting, and JJ said, I want you, I have this character of Agent Weiss. I want you to be in that show. So I was on the WB and ABC as a series regular on 2 shows at the same time, thanks to JJ. I mean, there was no way that would have happened. First of all, you need someone like that. He didn't have any power back then at all. It wasn't like he could put his, his fist down and go, I want this to happen. But they were both Touchstone shows, ABC shows, believe it or not. So ABC was making that show for the WB. So they said, yeah, he's not the star of the show. He's the sort of 6th guy on the call sheet. We can do it. And so I finished this movie, huge movie, at the time. And then, I'm on 2 shows at the same time. It was like,
and Alias blew up, man. Like, first 2 seasons blew the fuck up. I watched that show religiously. My wife was a big fan. I was like, this is like a comic book show.
Yeah.
And she's like, I can get behind comics if they were like this.
Yeah.
That was a dynamite fucking show. Jimmy Hollywood was the movie. Barry Levinson movie. Harrison Ford had an uncredited role.
No, that's not. Then I'm wrong.
That's the only Barry Levinson.
Then it wasn't Barry Levinson. My bad.
Was it?
What Lies Beneath?
Yes, What Lies Beneath. Thank you.
Bob Zemeckis.
Bob Zemeckis. Sorry, I get those guys.
I love that fucking movie.
So good, right?
And it's one of those movies that, like, once you see it, you're like, well, I can never see that again because the trick is ruined and stuff. But you forget, and then you watch it 10 years later, and you're like, this is an amazing fucking movie. I forgot what the twist was.
Yeah.
It's a mean movie. Do you know who wrote it?
Who? Which one?
What Lies Beneath?
What Lies Beneath?
This is a great trivia question.
Is it somebody that we all know?
We all know, but we don't know him as a screenwriter.
Wait. Okay.
Really?
Yes.
Hold on. It wasn't D'Souza.
He died on screen and came back on TV.
Hold it. That's
This is
a
getting
great
better.
clue.
I like your game show.
Thank you.
This game show that we're so Give us one more hint before I have to use a lifeline.
He's Avengers adjacent.
He's what?
Avengers adjacent.
So he's next to the Avengers?
Yeah. Died on screen.
Agent Coulson.
Yeah, Clark Gregg.
Clark Gregg wrote What Lies Beneath?
Are
Yes.
you shitting me?
I'm
I know
not
he's a
shitting
director. He's directed a movie recently.
Oh,
but
really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah. But he wrote What Lies Beneath?
He
Did
did.
you click on that? Make sure it's the same guy?
Yes, I double
I'm
checked.
taking this opportunity. Geeking Out, Sunday nights, AMC. This is what we're talking about. And by the way, all three of us are a big part of this show. I mean, you should be on camera. We got to get you
Andy
on
works
camera.
on the show too. That's right.
Andy runs that show.
This is like
Jerry.
Oh,
and
that's Geeking
You're
Out.
that guy that works with me on that show.
I knew you were familiar to me.
I think I want to play 6 Degrees of Gregg Grunberg.
You're already playing, motherfucker. We're going to stop and take a break. It's almost 7:00. We'll be back here in a few minutes with more Gregg Grunberg, and we're going to talk about what happened after Alias next. We're just going to follow the rest of your career because fuck, it's anecdotal, man. Like gold's coming out of
We've only got an hour. Do you think we'll be able to get through?
Even if we just get to like the next 2 shows, but think about it, man. Like you're fucking, what a content generator you are.
So lucky.
You are, man.
I've
You need
been
to,
lucky.
anyone listening to this fucking show needs to put you on radio regularly. You're like dream guest.
Oh, dude, only with you guys.
Like you got gold content. You're like, and then I met this motherfucker. Like,
How about you?
I know.
That's why we geek out together.
That's why we do the show. It's awesome. All right, stick around. Come back for more Candy with Kevin Andy right here on Sirius XM.
And now, more with Kevin Smith on Opie Radio.
Is that Slash? Is that Slash right now?
It is, right? And you can tell he's not sitting next to anybody. I won't do that. Andy heard the bumper and they're going like, now back to Kevin Smith. He's like, that's us. That's you. We're back here on Candy with Kevin Andy sucking candy. Is what we're trying to call it. We're trying to brand it hard. Our guest is Gregg Grunberg, man.
Why use the word sucking when you're describing your own work?
Because I always like to top from the bottom, dude. Okay. I like to take that out of the air right away. Like, yeah, I know I suck. So that way people can be like, all right, as long as he fucking knows it.
Yeah.
Take a bar and put it right down on the ground.
And then step over that fucker.
I'm watching the sugar crystallize. It is candy.
Yeah.
You guys together, you guys working together. It's like a chemical reaction, a sweet chemical reaction.
I want to be the rock candy. Can I be the rock candy?
God, man, rock candy, right?
No, you're
with the stick.
You're gummy candy is what you are. I'm not even rocking a candy.
I'm like a pixie stick. You know what I mean? You just want to drink it.
You just
down.
unwrap you and you're shooting dust.
Yeah. Wow.
Just ask my wife. Trust me, I'm shooting dust. I had the surgery.
Too much bicycle riding.
Well, that's a whole story too, by the way. I'm not going to say it now.
Okay.
But my vasectomy story is epic.
You got clipped?
Oh, I got clipped.
Really?
Yeah, because now we're just having fun. We have 3 healthy boys. I'm happy. You know
so
what I mean?
back in the day, you were like, we were fucking just for procreation, and now I do it for pleasure.
Yeah.
I found out it feels good.
I'm shooting this on your back just for procreation.
Oh, good Lord.
Okay.
I just got my morning exercise when all my skin crawled around my body.
You, my friend, are getting home, and your wife is like, sit down.
Exactly.
My back, you fuck.
What are you talking about?
Who am I, Hare?
Turns out.
What a random bull.
I didn't know my mom listens to the Opie show until this morning.
Our guest is me, Kevin Smith, and that's Andy McElfresh, and our guest right now is Gregg Grunberg, my co-host on Geeking Out.
Geeking Out.
On AMC, which you can see on Sundays. With Tiffany Smith. We're all three
and
of
with
us
Andy.
co-hosts. Yeah. And Andy is, what is your title on the show?
I'm the guy that stands off camera and laughs inappropriately.
And every once in a while, Andy throws out like good lines and shit. He does it all
every
the time.
once
Andy's
in a
monster, man. So like, you're sitting there and you're doing an interview, and then as soon as there's a break, Andy will run over and be like, say there's more pizza than meets the eye, and then like run away, and then you're like, oh my God, that's real funny, and then you fucking work it in and stuff.
Exactly. It's not us. We're puppets.
No, we're like,
puppets.
put things in our mouths, Andy, and he does. He's like, fresh fish, motherfucker.
But I refuse to put my hand up your ass. You're not going to be that puppet.
No.
Yeah. I was like, Kermit me. He's like, no way. No way.
It's Backstreet Boys. You got the strings too.
Yeah, 4 times is enough.
I only lonely goat herd marionette you.
Yeah.
Before we left, we were chit-chatting about Gregg's vast Hollywood career. But you got a fucking awesome story about getting cast in a Coen Brothers movie.
Man. So I couldn't be more excited, right? There's this Coen Brothers movie, and Tom Hanks is in it.
It's called The Lady Killers.
The Lady Killers.
It's a remake of an old flick, and the Coen Brothers did it back in 2004, I think it was
2004. And what they were doing is they were doing these little kind of mini movies, little montages at the beginning to introduce the main cast. They're putting together this crew, you know. They
kind of like Suicide Squad. The opening, it's like meet your people and
yes,
mission.
Exactly. And the
only person who's ever compared Lady Killers and Suicide Squad, ladies and gentlemen. And this is why I don't work very frequently.
And J.K. Simmons' role, he was a practical effects guy, and he on a commercial, and I play Joel Silver, essentially. This is all coming back. So I'm playing this character and I dress like Joel. I was like, I want a long, button down shirt, but a long one and wear it out. And, I'm going to be that guy. Anyway, I'm yelling and screaming at him because the dog in the scene, there's a dog that comes in. It's like a dog chow commercial, whatever. And the dog runs through a battle scene. So this little bulldog runs through and explosions, and he gets to the food and he won't eat. And I'm like, he won't eat. The fuck? He won't eat. He won't eat when he gets to the kibbles ready to eat. What the fuck is that? And I'm yelling at him, and J.K. Simmons comes in, and I go, come on. And I go, it's got to look more like a war thing. Come on. Can we do it again? And then suddenly now he's got the gas mask on. He's got the mask on from Breaking Bad. The dog has. Right. Which, by the way, we have Bryan Cranston coming on Geeking Out, and I bought a mask, and I'm going to have him sign it for my kids.
Genius.
Isn't that great?
That's very good.
What's cooking, Bryan Cranston?
Nice. You've already written it for him?
Yeah. He has no choice.
You're like, write this. I usually like to create
I'm
my
the
own
Andy. I'm the Andy of my own
You're like,
autographs.
No, write this.
In fact, Greg has already signed it. He just went online, found out his...
I wrote this here. You just write your name under it on this line right next to the X.
And date it.
You know what? I actually just need a photo of you holding it up.
Yes.
Bryan, that's it. So I'm really excited about this role, right? And it ends up being, now looking back, it's great. It's like a little mini movie. Me, J.K. Simmons, this dog. The dog then collapses and is suffocating. And I'm like, what's happening? What the fuck? God damn it. Ah, fuck. And I'm yelling, and the ASPCA guy is on set. And it turns out that's, I forgot his name. Classic actor from, Army of Darkness.
Bruce Campbell.
Legendary Bruce Campbell on set, who you had on the IMDb boat.
On the IMDb boat, yeah.
So anyway, with Lee Majors. I know.
Lee Majors, the $6 million man.
Geeking out, man. So, I had this audition, and I'm really excited. And now I go in, I read for the producer, I read for the Coens, and I mean, that's it. I'm done. I don't even care if I get the role. I get to showcase what I can do in front of the Coens. They seem to really like it, and I leave. A week later, I get a call saying they want to see you again. They want you to do it again. And I was like, I just did it for them, and they videotaped it, but fine. I get to go in again. That means they like me. Narrowed it down between you and another guy. Okay. So go to the studio, park the car, walk over, super nervous. This is going to make my career, in my opinion. Tom Hanks and Marlon Wayans is in the movie. Yeah. So I'm excited, and I get up there and I'm waiting. I'm nervous. And now the second guy, I'm like, who's this other guy? Who's the guy that I'm up against? And in walks J.J. Abrams. Everybody knows J.J. as the incredible writer, producer, director that he is. My best friend in the whole world. Since we're 5, we've known each other. And he's the guy I'm going up against? Are you fucking kidding me? And he looks
like
at
Kirk being made to fight Spock, dude.
In a way.
It's very Coen Brothers that they're like, how can we make this ironic?
Yeah. Let's
true.
make it uncomfortable for everyone but us.
Yeah. Throw it hard. So I look at him, he looks at me, and we're like, this is crazy. How that happened was JJ was writing and doing his thing. He wasn't the JJ Abrams we know today, but he was in a movie, with, Will Smith, which was from a big play.
6 Degrees of Separation.
Yeah.
6 Degrees of Separation. In that movie, by the way, this is to even make him an even more incredible person and friend. There's a moment when they're all trying to figure out, who is this Will Smith character? Who's this guy that you're all going to school with, who's taking advantage of every parent, and he's manipulating all of our lives? And they're looking through the yearbook from high school, and they're trying to figure it out. And then, JJ, every single take, if you watch that movie right now, he looks and he goes, you guys remember a guy named Gregg Grunberg?
Really?
He said it every take. So that's what they had to use. And he did it on purpose and called me and was like, dude, being the filmmaker that he is, he's like, I can't believe I got your name in the movie. And at that time, I'm doing commercials. I'm guesting on things. So I needed funny. So he killed it so bad. He was Richard Mazur's son. He's in bed with a girl and he takes and throws the phone out the window. Like he had a really kind of a great moment. And JJ's a very good actor. He'll probably never act again. He should, but he never will. Just because he's doing so busy. Anyway, now I find myself there.
I remember him in Regarding Henry delivering food.
Yes.
I honestly thought that was his only on-screen performance. But what you're saying
I'll bring up
is
that clip for you.
If I go watch 6 Degrees of Separation, which I haven't seen with Stockard Channing and Donald Sutherland and Will Smith, it was based on a very famous play. And I remember when the movie came out because people were like, hey, the Fresh Prince is an actor.
And
stuff
by
like
the way,
that.
a great actor.
It's a great performance. But JJ is in that movie?
Yeah. And he's one of those kids. So they go to him again and again. And this is a scene where they're all sitting around kind of reminiscing, like, who is this guy? And then he says, do you guys remember Gregg? Anyway, so now we find ourselves sitting there and they go, and before we can even discuss it, the casting director comes out and says, JJ, come on in. And they thought it was kind of it was like a thing, like, oh, this filmmaker, there'd be a cool cameo, you know?
Right, yeah.
So he, goes in and I'm sitting there like, fuck, thinking, at this point, I'm actually thinking whatever happens, but I'm going over the lines again, in my head. He comes out. He's like, all right, I'll see you. And I'm like, what do you mean you'll see? Greg, you ready? And I'm like, before I can say anything, he leaves. No, I thought he was going to wait for me. That's what it was. I thought he was going to wait for me. I go in, do this thing for the Coens. And as soon as I'm about to start, they said, well, you got a great friend. And I was like, what do you mean? And they go, we thought he was going to do the scene and he didn't. All he said was, if you don't hire Greg Grunberg, you're fucking crazy.
You're kidding.
Oh man, what a guy.
You're gonna make me roll a tear, man. I fucking love JJ, but that story makes me love him just a little bit more.
That's who he is. Wow. That's who he is. And
I'll be honest, I would have been the guy who's like, I just killed it. You're not getting that part, Grunny. I'm sorry. This is all about
now
you or me, and I want to be in a Coen Brothers movie.
You would have done that, but then said to me, you killed it.
Yeah.
So
oh man, you did it.
Yeah.
That's fucking beautiful.
Wow. Do you want to hear J.J. Abrams' acting career?
Yeah.
Okay, starting with Regarding Henry, he played Delivery Boy.
I remember that.
There you go.
And he played it as Jeffrey Abrams.
Oh,
so that's his acting name. Then
did you wait when you were a kid? Was he ever Jeffrey?
No, JJ.
Always JJ.
Yeah.
Did anyone, were his parents like Jeffrey when he was in trouble and shit?
I don't think so. I don't think Carol or Jerry ever called him that. No.
So Jeffrey is his name.
Yeah, Jeffrey Jacob, and that's why my oldest son's Jacob.
Oh my God, this is fucking sweet.
Yeah,
is there a Jingleheimer Schmidt in there?
That's my name too. Whenever we go out, the people just shout.
What John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. Does every kid learn that anymore?
We were just in a radio version of Grease just there.
It was kind of sweet. All right, so wait a second, man. So JJ or Jeffrey,
Jeffrey
was
Jacob.
In what else?
He was 6 Degrees of Separation as Doug. Then the Diabolique.
Oh yeah,
the remake.
He was in the remake of Diabolique.
Yes. He was. He played video photographer number 2.
Did he have any lines?
He played it as Jeffrey Abrams, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
It sounds like he has most amount of lines.
Did he write
6 Degrees?
He didn't write Diabolique.
I don't know.
Or rewrite.
You know what? His credits are so long that if I went to writer, it would take me forever to get back to actor.
Oh my God. We were talking to him on Geeking Out, our show on AMC, me and Gregg's show, Sundays after Fear the Walking Dead and, Talking Dead. And, after that plug, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, he was telling us a story and he's like, talking about meeting Kathy Kennedy. And he's like, years after I cleaned up these Super 8 films for Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Kathy had hired him to do it. There I am meeting her about Roger Rabbit 2. And, he goes on with the story. I'm like, stop the fucking presses.
Yeah.
Did you just say Roger Rabbit 2? He's like, yeah. Like at one point there was a Roger Rabbit 2 and we were
and
working.
Casper.
Yes.
Rewrote Casper. Rewrote.
You forget, man, that he was in the trenches as a writer for a long, long time, but I honestly didn't know about the acting. What after Diabolique?
What about Speed? He rewrote Speed 2.
Yes.
He also rewrote, the movie.
I think that's where.
What's the Bruce Willis movie where they go out and with Ben?
Armageddon.
Yeah, Armageddon.
I'm getting out of this theater.
Armageddon hard waiting for this asteroid.
Talk about building a team. That was a really cool montage at the beginning, showing all the cowboy being chased by the cops, all that stuff.
Listen, you're trying to get a job from Michael Bay over there. You're like, he's a genius, Michael Bay. Call me.
Yeah. That's what Geeking Out is for me.
No doubt.
It's a lead gen for my career.
It's basically we get to meet people and be like, hey, do you have a guy doing that? 'Cause I could be that guy.
JJ knows a few people. He probably knows Jennifer Love Hewitt. From their movie, The Suburbans.
Oh, yeah.
Where he played a rock journalist.
Yes.
So JJ's acted quite a bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so nothing like his role on Alias, where on episode So It Begins in 2001, he played man on the phone saying, Joey's Pizza.
That's why you'll find me in Oklahoma City at Geekonomicon this weekend with all the pictures of everything I've ever done laid out, and I'm signing for everybody. I'll see you guys at Oklahoma City. You will not find JJ with pictures of all of these moments in his career.
Are you really going to Oklahoma City?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Are you promoting the book? Tell them about the book you got.
Yeah, so that's why I'm doing all the stuff. So the book is called Dream Jumper, and if you're a parent, please, if you're a parent right now, check out page 2 in your Scholastic catalog that your kid gets at school.
Doesn't that take you back? Like, remember this? Remember when, you gotta remember, we didn't have the internet when we were kids. So, like, the idea of here's a Scholastic catalog. Here are a bunch of books that you can get in school. Like, if you were at school, you had to either study, which sucked, or if you were handed a Scholastic catalog, you could at least look at pictures of books.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part of school.
101 Dalmatians is a book?
Right.
Mind blown.
Where the red fern grows? I'm getting that.
What do you mean Charlotte's Web is between covers?
Right.
So I remember that catalog. It conjures good memories. They still do that?
Yeah.
It's not like, go to the website, motherfucker. We don't give out catalogs.
I was a total sucker for anything that came with a magnifying glass. Remember that was like those kind of books, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, now, back then they did not have graphic novels in there.
Not at all.
Librarians didn't even consider that literature. It was like, I'm not going to
Not even by Spawn.
Yeah, but truthfully, I have to say, you guys who were, into comic books and graphic novels, way ahead of the curve. It is a gateway drug for reading. Yeah. I've heard now that I have a graphic novel, Dream Jumpers out there, kids are they're eating it up, and it's something that they can read in an hour and a half and feel like, okay, where's the next story? And it's like watching what a kid just said to me, as I was holding him down and beating him. He said to me, a kid
he said, Stop it. You're the guy from the Lady Killers.
It's the Rolex man is hurting me.
I didn't like Senseless. What are you doing to me? No, this kid actually said, it's like the characters are talking to me. Like I'm watching, different moments in a TV show, and the characters are actually talking, which is really cool.
You wrote it? Who drew it?
I wrote it with Lucas Turnblum, an incredible cartoonist, and Lucas then illustrated it, and then we have a colorist that we met through Scholastic, who's brilliant. And it's so the way it happened is my son had a dream a few years ago. He woke up. It was such a vivid dream that he was distraught, and I was trying to comfort him and put him back to sleep. And, I said, tell me about it. And he said, it was so vivid. It was like, I wasn't in my dreams. I was actually able to jump in and out of my friends' dreams and save them from their worst nightmares. Like a superhero. Yeah. Dope. So I was like, don't go to bed. I'm getting my laptop. We're paying for college.
Nice.
So, from that.
You go to sleep. Dad's stealing that idea.
Exactly. I wanted to write on the front cover of the book, inspired by a dream by Ben Grunberg, Dream Jumper. And he said, I don't want to, he's into baseball. He's playing baseball for high school. He's like, I don't want that, Dad.
I'm a jock.
Yeah, they're going to beat the shit out of me at school.
It's bad enough that you beat me up. Exactly. I don't want to deal with other people doing it.
Hey, Dream Jumper, get your ass over here. Dream Jumper.
Hate when he fucking calls me that.
So
why won't he call me Slugger? I like baseball. Baseball, you fuck. I'll chew your fucking jugular in the night, old man, and if I get on the bed, I'll kill you.
I'm going to be in and out of your dreams, Dad. Don't you go to sleep. So we wrote this, and it's dark at times, and it's funny, and it taps into all the things that kids fear, and also wish fulfillment. There's a lot of great things that would happen in dreams. So we have those moments, but then we also have the dark moments, and we have a nightmare lord that traps the kids, and we're playing off the theme that when you see someone sleepwalking, this is in the second book, when you see someone sleepwalking, that's the dream, that's the nightmare lord controlling us.
Oh,
and
nice.
Slowly, he's trying to control the waking world. And then we're going to explore the fact in book 4, I believe, we're going to really turn the tables and say, is this a dream? And when we go to sleep, is that reality?
So wait a second. For some kid looks through the Scholastic catalog, turns to page 2, this looks fun, gets this fucking book and is like, you just melted my fucking child's mind.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Good night, Mother. I've learned that nothing is real.
So this is just a dream.
Matter. You take out the garbage, you fucking bitch.
Bang, bang, bang.
So the good news is that people are receptive to it. I've never done this before. You have done many a comic book, and you know how that process.
I don't really create my own stuff though. Like I've done like Jay and Silent Bob comic books, but most of the comics I've done are like Green Arrow, Daredevil, Batman, other people's characters. But you created stuff like this is something of your own invention, man. That's even better. And
when it works
also,
out.
like I love comics, but the idea of being like in a comic book store thrilled me. Having my material in a comic book store thrilled me. But the idea of being in the Scholastic catalog suddenly makes me go like, I failed in life. I never had a book in the Scholastic catalog.
Be careful what you wish for, dude. Can you imagine the Scholastic? If you had a graphic novel you wanted to put through graphics, which is there, they would jump at that chance with you in a second. They're such
I don't know, man. I'm like, they're like, what story? I'm like, it's about a dick and he's got a lot of dicks on him and he sucks other dicks. And they're like, nothing like Dream Jumper?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, this is called Dream Humper.
No reality
Dream
bending
Humper.
ideas in there, just dicks, huh?
Suck a dick and smoke and pot smoke comes out.
What the fuck do you mean no reality bending ideas? A giant dick covered in dicks? It's like a nightmare my kid had once and I turned it into a book.
And she won't let me put her name on the cover either.
Dad, you're embarrassing me.
Now I have a question. Dream Jumper?
Yeah, Dream Jumper.
Did you have to change the title in Britain? Because that would mean Dream Sweater.
No, that's exactly what it is. It's Dream Sweater. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's Dream Jumper, Nightmare Escape is the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Second
How many
one
books are there?
We're going to do a series. Hopefully we'll do 10. The second book's written and being illustrated right now. Paramount, bought it to make a movie out series out of it. Yeah. So it's really exciting. And then, we'll see where it goes. I mean, I'm not going to write the script for the feature. I want to let, I'm so thrilled.
Yeah. Andy's hand just shot up. I'll write it.
So it's, what's interesting is we have the, kind of the one sheet of it on the wall on the set.
On
the Monkey
Geeking
Bar.
Out. Yeah.
And Geeking Out.
You can see it in the background.
And there's Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, and they were like, what's this? Actually, no. I said, let me show off my thing.
Yeah, I think that.
And they didn't say what's this.
To be fair, you were like, let me show off my thing. You whipped out your dick, and they're like, oh, that's interesting. And they looked away awkwardly, and they were like, oh, this is nice over here. What's this? Hey, what's Dream Jumper? And as Greg zipped his cock back into his pants, he's like, it's a book I wrote with my kid.
And they
works every time.
Drove him right to the Dream Jumper.
That was the moment that it was one of those surreal moments. These guys that I admire so much, and they said, "What's it about?" And I just threw out. I was like, "It's a kid that blah 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 can jump in and out of his friends' dreams." And they were like, they both looked at each other, and they went, "That's a really good idea." Just like you.
That was my screenplay.
Yeah, exactly. You just lost
R-rated.
The Deadpool writer.
They're the R-rated guys. They're like, can we put dicks in this?
Yeah. No.
Kevin asked that about literally everything.
Seriously, we have to talk. You talk about Jay. Dude, I think there's something going on.
So they can get it right now. They can order it online as well, Scholastic.
Everywhere. Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can go brick and mortar. You can go online or Scholastic in the catalog. And I think hopefully people enjoy it. And I'm going to be signing a ton of them, at these cons. I'm going around doing a bunch of cons starting at Geekonomicon this weekend in Oklahoma City.
That's a great name, Geekonomicon.
Do you think?
I like it. Geekonomicon. I always like saying it.
Barata.
Geekonomicon.
Yeah, but what does it mean?
The Necronomicon.
The Geekonomicon. The Necronomicon is the Book of the Dead. So it's like the Geekonomicon. I
didn't even know. Okay,
this will raise the geek from the dead.
That's okay. Makes a lot of sense.
The Necronomicon is the Book of the Dead. Necropolis is the city of the dead. Necromancer is someone who can raise the dead.
Yeah.
Necrophiliac is somebody who fucks the dead.
Yeah.
Have we
like,
hit all
can I
the
put my dick in this?
I guess. I mean, it's dead. Yeah, but, I gotta park this dick somewhere. Is there any necros we left out?
No, I think you covered all the necros.
Necro wafers. Those are those thin, crispy
made of human flesh.
Yeah.
Necro. Would you like a necro wafer? No, I'd like a necro wafer.
Yeah.
Give me somebody's slip disc. I'll eat that. I want to eat a human. Did you ever see that movie Alive? I love it. I wish I went down to the Andes.
Oh, the plane crash movie.
That's right. Frank Marshall directed that.
Mm-hmm.
There was a movie when I was a kid, though. Alive was in the, I think, 90s. A Disney movie, no less. I think it was like Touchstone or Hollywood Pictures presents a movie where people fucking ate each other, man.
True story.
Very true story. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, they had made a movie about the same incident where a soccer team goes down in the Andes or something. And it was called Survive. Mm-hmm. And they played up the cannibal aspect in a big, bad way. Like Alive was more of a, triumph of the human spirit. We can outlive these elements. And we had to eat a few dead people, but like, never mind. It's all about the hope and America and shit like that. Even though it wasn't about America. And Survive, when I was a kid, like I remember the TV spots were more about like, watch them eat the flesh of another man and not for sexual pleasure, but nourishment.
It was like, the goalie looks yummy.
These fuckers are going to eat each other. That was the tagline of the poster. The goalie
that was the book.
Yummy,
Alive was the book. And I remember Betsy Donnelly in like 9th grade did a book report on that book. And so
Alive?
she illustrated it with how they had so much trouble eating the foot because there were so many bones in it. And that's how at the top of her page, and then in like cute, Catholic school lettering, wrote her book report about this cannibalism crash in the Andes.
There was the cast of Alive. If you look up the cast of Alive, those guys went on a lot of them. I can't remember.
Thin diets. Like they got thin.
They all went on. It was like, it's not quite, a legendary cast, but they really
all went
good.
on to something good.
Yeah. One of the guys was on MTV years ago, Dead Like Me or, something. So let's see. Episode.
Shit, we're down for one of the guys.
Yeah. One of the guys moved on. No, there's some good people in that cast.
Pull it up, Andy. Who's in that cast?
Trying to pull it up. We're losing our internet connection. Here we go.
Yeah.
Coming through.
But I just Googled Alive and they're like, are you kidding me? Oh, they gave me the movie was the top hit. Are you kidding me? If you enter Alive in Google, the first thing you get is that fucking movie? Don't you think it would be something like Alive, the condition of living or something?
Google
like
is listening to the show.
Yeah, really?
That's why they're...
Yeah.
They're like, we were just trying to help you, prick.
They control it all.
We'll go back to our other fucking metric, I guess.
Exactly.
We were trying to change the algorithm so we could help your fucking show, but you can just eat a fucking dick fat, man.
We're going to drive around and take pictures of everything.
Here comes the cast. Ready?
Yeah.
Ethan the Hawk.
Dude, Ethan Hawke.
Vincent Spano.
Come on.
Josh Hamill.
Hamilton.
Oh, right here it just says.
I'm using a bigger screen.
You have dial-up.
I got a tiny phone screen.
Josh Hamilton. It's coming in slow.
Bruce Ramsey.
Hamilton.
Yeah.
John Newton. David Kriegel.
Amazing actor.
Kevin Brezhnev.
Yeah, keep going. There's another.
Sam Behrens.
Keep going.
Ileana Douglas.
My buddy.
Jack Noseworthy. We were just talking about him on fucking
That's what I'm talking about
this week.
Okay, so what did Jack do? That was a big series he started.
Dead at 21.
Not Dead Like Me, Dead at 21.
Which was the version of Logan's Run.
Okay, so here's
Hipster
Geeking
90s
Out in a nutshell, guys. If you want to know our show, I get everything wrong, but I'm close. No, I'm close enough.
So wait, your show is what we do every day on the internet? Yeah, essentially. Isn't that amazing? Can't believe AMC said, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
I love AMC, man. They gave me that. I got 6 seasons of Comic Book Men so far. We're just finished shooting, almost finished shooting season 6, and it starts airing right when Geeking Out is over. I think there's like a few weeks off, and then Comic Book Men comes back. I hope this show goes just as long, if not longer. I mean, honestly, it's like so... I hate to sell it like this, but it's so easy to do because you just talk to people that you like and you're interested in. When I went to Skywalker or Lucasfilm, I talked to Dennis Muren, guy who's like created your entire childhood. Yeah. Like guy like George Lucas goes, I want to make Star Wars. And then it's up to a guy like Dennis Muren to figure out what that looks like or how to do that with the ships and all that shit.
How did they meet? I mean, how did they ever come together?
He told a story of like, he'd been a big fan of, movie magic. And he said back in those days, like he grew up in Hollywood. He said you could just call up people in the phone book. So like, I'm trying to remember the name of, I think Harryhausen. I think he talked about Ray Harryhausen was just in the book, and John Dykstra as well. It was just in the phone book. So we'd call him up and he'd be like, hey, how do you do that stuff? Can you show me how to do that stuff? And
goes, I don't like people sitting next to me.
Slashed him hard.
I don't like when people sit next to.
Call
By the way,
me and ask how I did shit.
By the way, the days have come back to that.
Yeah.
If there's somebody that you admire, name the biggest, Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
I guarantee if you do harrisonford@gmail.com, there's a very good chance he's going to get your email.
Dear Harrison Ford, do you like weed as much as me? Love, Kevin Smith. No answer.
I don't like it when Kevin
people
Smith
ask me about my
Bogart,
weed.
yeah.
So, wait, where were we?
We were talking about calling up people on the phone.
No, we're talking about the guy at Skywalker, Harryhausen.
So Muren called up Harryhausen, and he would just say, yeah, come over, I'll show you how to do shit. So he learned how to make effects. He made his own movie at one point that he was very proud of. Like, they actually sold it, and it made a profit, like very low budget. And this was before, like, the indie film movement. And then he read about this position, I guess, that was opening at Industrial Light Magic. He was one of the founders of ILM.
Wow.
So Star Wars, Empire, Jedi, all the effects, his.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's the guy that figures out how to make the AT-AT walk or what the AT-AT is. I mean, yeah, there are people that draw
met him
shit
before.
Never. But, I've known his name like a rock star. I was a member of the Star Wars fan club, a card-carrying member of the Star Wars fan club, which meant you got a subscription to Bantha Tracks, was their newsletter. This is all back in the late 70s, early 80s, before the internet. So they wouldn't do stories like Carrie Fisher. The cover story would be like Dennis Muren, or, the guy that did the sound, Ben Burt. Deep inside, Ben Burt is very much kind of like our show. So I knew him, and, he's the guy also that, created the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. Stan Winston built huge ones, right? But Dennis Muren created the T-Rex, and they told Spielberg, like, up until that point, effect shots in movies were always lock-offs. So you'd be moving the camera around, doing whatever the fuck you want. Then you had to lock the camera off for your special effects shots. Then they'd put a
mechanical owl to fly in.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you'd shoot a plate.
And that irritated some very creative filmmakers like Spielberg, who were like, why do we always have to lock off? I understand, but like, there should be a better way.
Why is Steven always complaining about locking off the camera?
Seriously.
And then Muren goes for Jurassic Park. He tells him, don't lock off the camera for any of your effects shots. Shoot whatever you want. And he goes, but what about the effects? He goes, we'll figure it out later on. But I think it'll work out if you just shoot what you want. I think what we could do with this tech is put it into the movie, because this was tech that George was building. Like, George had invested a lot of money, and Muren said he got curious. He was like, I knew George was putting a lot of money into this computer stuff. It wasn't like the end is near for practical effects, but like, well, what can we do with that?
Yeah, he was always down at Best Buy buying computers and things.
Yeah, he had doodads. He was a big Radio Shacker. Exactly. But he was like, I just went over.
Fries.
Yeah, he's like, I needed electronics in my life. He's like, I went over just to see what they were doing, and I kind of got a whiff of it, and I was like, oh, so that means we could do this and this. It was just one more tool with which to create movie magic. So he tells Lucas, he tells Spielberg when they're making Jurassic Park, don't lock off, like, move your camera around, like, just play as if whatever you want is there to be there. So in the case of the T-Rex attacking the car and shit like that, they weren't locked off. The camera, for the first time in movie history, is moving around very fluidly, even though there's nothing there. So it was like Muren essentially pulled the JFK. Remember when JFK was like, in 10 years, we're going to be on the moon. And
we do these things not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
I didn't realize he was British.
Like cheese.
I had no idea he was British.
None of us could do that accent.
In this.
But he called, Kennedy was like, he didn't ask anybody. He's like, can we get to the moon? He's got up there. He's like, we're going to the moon. And then science had to catch up.
By crook.
Yeah. Get me some Nazis.
Are you masturbating?
Figure out the rocket program and get us to the moon.
Exactly.
We won't talk about the Nazis. The Nazis. The Nazis are not involved. I swear.
See, that's pretty good right there. That's Bobby. That's like the show Bobby right there.
Some tuning.
Could have been
a little tuning.
Yeah.
So anyway, JFK pointed his finger and said, we're just going to do it. And then everyone had to catch up. They had 10 years and they're like, fuck, now we have to make it real. Throwing your hat over the wall. Same thing here. He was just like, go shoot whatever you want, because we will figure this out by the time you're in post.
What's interesting though is they still had to hedge their bets a little bit. They knew how to do the dinosaur. They knew how to do the camera tracking, or they knew that they were on the right track for tracking the camera. Excuse the pun.
Unintended.
But they still had to make the car a practical effect. So the car has all these air bladders in it that they had to deflate real quick to make it look like it was being hit and bumped and crushed.
Interesting.
And so that ended up being like a huge nightmare for the practical guys. Meanwhile, the dinosaur was already, halfway there.
That was nuts. Like, think of it. That changed everything. And he was like, well, the reason we knew it was possible was because Jim Cameron was doing it with, The Abyss.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And, then next, and Muren worked on that, and he worked on T2. So he makes the next big special effect, which jumps it forward, where everyone's like, but you see that liquid metal guy? Right. That changed fucking everything. So I guess it was Lucas when he saw either T2 or Jurassic Park. I think he said it was Jurassic Park. That was the moment when Lucas was like, okay, now I can do my Star Wars movies. Like the technology is here now where I feel like I could do my prequels.
If they can eat a man off a toilet, I can make Jar Jar Binks.
Speaking of toilets,
so I may never have to work with actors again.
Yeah, he's like, puppets, all digital puppets from now until the end of time.
Famously, he said that's what Ron Howard's told that story once, where when they're on the set of American Graffiti.
Oh, on American, going that far back?
Really?
He's an actor, and he's just, it was all nights, and so he's with Lucas the whole time, trying to follow him around and learn how to be a director. He wants to learn from him. And I guess one of the actresses was not getting her lines right, and everybody was tired, and it was frustrated. And he turns to him and says, George Lucas says, someday I'm going to make a movie with no actors in it.
That's really hilarious.
Oh my God. And that's a dude who's just visionary enough and fucking rich enough to make that wild dream come true.
That's funny.
All right. So Muren, man, was a huge get for our show.
And while you were doing Muren, I was doing Adam Savage.
Which was fantastic. Adam Savage, one of the Mythbusters.
And the greatest guy. And like you said,
such a fucking sweetheart.
Just turn the camera on. He's you say the words camera savvy and you think of a guy who can actually turn on this plastic version of himself. It's Max Headroom. No, this guy is warm and wonderful and genuine and sincere and passionate. And he collects, and what he doesn't collect the originals of from movies and TV that he
loves props. He loves movie props, TV props.
He replicates. So he's got these reproductions and he creates them. He makes them. So he'll buy a kit and make them. And that's what I got to do. And I don't want to give away what I made, but
they made something from Star Wars.
It's epic.
It's pretty damn cool.
This Sunday night on AMC.
Is that that's this Sunday's episode?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
The Adam Savage
reproduced with Adam Savage.
I did.
And it was hot.
It was hot.
Bear on bear action. It was.
I had to use both hands. I had to use both hands to hold it.
Maybe.
He was totally a sweet guy, man. But you're absolutely right. Content generator. This is a guy who's done a lot of TV. So the moment you turn the camera on, you're not dragging anything out of him. He knows. He's there to play, man. He's very animated and knowledgeable, deep well. He can go deep on any subject.
But he listens too. And we're having a real conversation. Nothing against Jay Leno, but there were many times where I felt like I was like, wow, I'm talking. He knows the camera's not on him right now, and he's reading the next card.
Yeah.
And I just, that's what our show is.
Preparation. He was doing preparation.
Oh yeah, he was doing
in the
research.
moment preparation.
He was like, hey, I wonder if that carburetor came in yet.
Exactly. I just saw miles per gallon on my forehead. That's all he was looking at.
My beef is the guest.
But our show, as much as we have bits, and thank God we have Andy to keep it interesting and fun and throw out stuff. It is really conversational.
Yeah.
And there are times when, we step on each other and whatever. By the way, the bloopers from our show.
I would love to see a blooper reel on that show. There is some really
Kevin, you are so fucking funny, man. I mean, really, you really are. No, there are so many moments when it's just like, we know we've gone down, the rabbit hole in a way that the editors cannot save us.
Yeah. Once the chat gets cummy, it ain't making it. The
American Movie Cum channel.
American Movie Cum. That is, it's being on that show sharpened me for Colbert. I did Colbert the other night.
You were amazing. Sharpened you.
Yeah.
You took over. Colbert sitting there, not getting a word in, but
He
I
loved
watched.
it.
He loved
had
it.
You
such
made
a
him
blast.
hide.
I made him laugh, dude. You know how fucking that was a real banner moment for me. Like when you make a genius who's that funny laugh, genuinely laugh.
But I got to tell you, man, you go around the country, you make a lot of people laugh. You do these shows that are so great because they seem unscripted, but I know you're like Rickles. You've got a library of stories and you're pulling from them. But you were not doing a comedy routine. You were just genuinely telling stories, and you just like me here. I'm like, this is my opportunity. I've got this story. I've got this story, and it just kept flowing. Where he didn't have to speak. And by the way, to his credit, it's like Vin Scully. Somebody hits it out of the park. What does Vinny do? Shuts up.
Right.
You've got gold. Somebody is so passionate in telling a story, and you were just you were cute. I'm sorry, I've got to say it. I was like, man, do I want to bend him over when we work again? I'm going to just grab him.
I was being cuddly.
Yeah, you were.
It was
so good.
I felt like they had done. We taped on a Thursday, and I don't know if this is the case with most. I think it was the case with Leno back in the day. They don't shoot on Friday.
No, we shot every day.
Did you shoot every day?
Yeah, every day of the week.
Some shows do, like on Thursday, they do double shows so they don't have to do Friday, and then that. So we did one where on Thursday he had Tim Kaine on the show that was on Thursday night, and then they also shot Friday's show. So he had 2 shows to do back to back, each one vastly different. There's a lot of work in one day. So I think when it came to my turn, when I just started blah, 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 he told me at the break, he was just like, oh my God, thank you. I didn't have to work for a minute. Like that was nice because he'd been talking all night long. But when I sat down, I was like, boy, I hope he goes with this. I hope he doesn't think I'm an asshole. But I was like, I'm just going to steamroll him with chatter. Because they told me, I was like, how long do I got? They're like 7 minutes. Like 7 minutes. Fuck, I can't get anything accomplished. I was like, all right, man, I'm just going to hit him with all the love and shit. And he didn't he just played. He sat there, mugging and like, playing up the
he
fact
made it into a bit where he could get laughs, but he never stepped on you. It was very good.
It was so brilliant. So deftly done as a host.
3 plugs in. Yes, you were so great at it. You open it up, you're like, because I've got these 2 shows on AMC.
Well, he had to remind you that you were there to talk about a movie.
About yoga hosers.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, it was all. I mean, no one left there going, what was he there to promote? The message was clear, but it wasn't about that.
They're like, I think he was there to promote weed because that's what he talked about an awful lot. I told them that I was a wake and baker, and when I get up, you can see the clip online. It's on the Late Show YouTube channel
and Twitter. They sent it out as
Did they put it on a Twitter thing? I said I wake up every morning, I wake and bake, and the first thing I watch is your show from the night before because they put the YouTube clips up, and I love his. Honestly, I love that show right up to the guests. And then I'm like, I ain't that interested in the guests. I love him. I wish he could interview himself.
Yeah.
So when I sat down, I was like, oh my God, I'm actually doing the part of the show that I don't really enjoy as much as everything else. I was like, what could I bring to it that might be a little bit different? So I was like, I'm just going to come all love and tell him how much I dig the show and how I watch it and shit like that. So I was going and he was playing with it. So I was like, I'm going to keep just rambling.
But the way you started the story was great because you were like, look, I'm a wake and baker and I get up before my wife and my daughter and you're the first thing I see in the morning.
It was good. Afterwards, they were like, you got to come back. I was like, I'll come back anytime you want. I told them I stopped. I haven't done talk shows since Leno stopped. I used to be on fucking Leno all the time. Me and Andy would do pieces, the roadside attractions, and then just couch guest as well and stuff. And when we did roadsides, I'd come out and intro the pieces. But after he left the air, that was it.
This is going to sound like I'm stroking you, but you said, I don't do this on the show. If you watch the clip, you'll see. I don't do this because I don't sit down. I hate to sit down. Look, you and I have a thing about that. We
stand on our show.
If we're on camera, let's stand up. So that we're not wrinkling our own fat.
Yeah, you don't just see where it all goes when we sit down.
I got to tell you, man, you got nothing to worry about, man. You said that, and that was the one false moment. And it's not false for you,
right.
But the audience watching, you looked great. You have dude, I'm just telling you. No, I'm not saying that for that reason. I'm telling you right now.
Fucking laid,
dude.
You sweet talking son of a bitch.
You don't have to fucking worry about that shit anymore. I looked and I was like, man.
Great. Yeah. Man Moo works.
You look good.
The man Moo will always work, man. Yeah. Hockey jersey is just a fat guy's Moo folks. That's why I wear it. You can hide it all under there. It is almost 7:52, and that means we gotta fucking get out of here. Isn't it sucked? Wouldn't you do this every fucking day?
You could call me Candy if they asked us back.
Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you.
Will you legally change your name to Candy McElfresh if they give us a show?
Okay.
There you go.
We're going to have my brother introduce you just like he does at the Tropicana. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Candy.
Nice. Could you imagine
Stripper.
every morning and then you're like, hello. Last night
I am not an attractive woman.
Thanks for hanging out with us, man. Hopefully we get to do this a bit more in the future. Opie and Jimmy are going to be back, I think, tomorrow in their regular places.
So we've heard.
Yeah, I believe.
Thank you for letting me come on this with you.
Oh my God. Thanks for, dude, you fucking give good mouth. You give good oral.
Yeah.
And oral AURAL of the year. But man, that mouth of yours is a treasure. You've lived a life.
And it's pretty.
Yeah, you got a pretty mouth.
Oh, ding, 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 ding.
There it is, folks. Sucking Candy with Kevin Andy and our guest today, Greg Grunberg, comes to a close. Now you got to face the day with us. But you're armed with a fuck ton of like random trivia. You can sit around the office all day and be like, did you know that fucking
Simon Rex had sex with a...
Yeah. And they're like, who's that? And they're like, remember Simon Rex? He had sex.
People are going to mix all the stories together.
Yeah,
Simon Rex was on a plane that crashed and they ate each other and then Joel Silver drove off a cliff. They're going to put it all together.
And Greg Grunberg whipped out his Hollow Man. And there it is, folks. Thanks for hanging out with us. Go enjoy your day. Remember, your dogs know exactly what you're saying, so say nice things to them. And extend that same courtesy to human beings. For all a little bit nicer, world gets a little bit better.
Thank you, Betty White.
I try. I'm a golden girl in my heart. Thanks. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to guest host Kevin Smith.